Okay. How's it going? Are we feeling dangerous? Are we feeling gay? Chat. I'm not even bisexual. Okay. Hang on. Hang on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. After these tomboy tweets, I'm gay as fuck. I don't know. Why is the stream called that? I'll show you why. It's because someone, I don't know. Because I did my tweet about Bad Empanada not giving a fuck about aid to Palestinians until it turns out that one of them got accused of helping Hamas. And this guy said, he doesn't watch Twitch or YouTube, but he'll always appreciate Bad Empanada fighting a type of relentless jihad against the most annoying, chronically online cucks and losers on the planet. And then he said, may God strengthen his resolve against this Maronite bisexual mushbrain. This fucking dude. Read about my key cultural, political, and economic developments in Afghanistan and Central Asia. Okay. Okay, dude. Yeah, I don't know. Maronite bisexual mushbrain. What a fucking title. I guess we'll put Mushbrain in as well. Why not? Fuck me. Please, another debate? Nope. No, 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 no. I have no time for the kind of person who doesn't need to say anything correct, who just needs to grandstand, and that's all they need to grow their audience. Like, that's so stupid. What a fucking waste of time. There's like a class of people that debating of content creators is like, when we spoke about Rittenhouse, I just asked him a few questions about the facts of the case. And as soon as he didn't have an answer, he said, "Oh wow, this is exactly what I expected from you." I'm like, and then he moved on. I'm like, okay, I don't really. There's no why would I fucking bother arguing with someone like that when they're literally just there to grandstand off their fucking post-it note politics fucking chart and then just run away as soon as they run out of points. And no one in their audience cares because all they don't actually want anyone to tell them the facts. They just want someone to fucking soy out over the things they already believe in. So, whatever. It's good to know that he's had a change of heart though about humanitarian aid groups. Okay. Anyway. What I will do is I'm gonna get in touch with that Ryan Grimm dude. I think I am prepared for a little chat with him, maybe. Isn't that a propagandist? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you see Jonathan Glazer? Oh yeah, people glazing over Glazer. Maybe. I haven't seen it, no. No, I don't know if I'm talking to Ryan Grimm. I just said I'm gonna get in touch with him and see. Apparently, Vadim thinks he can get me in contact with him. But I'm like, I don't know if he's like a middleman or something, but I don't know if I even need that. But yeah. You see Noah's collabing with. I know. Fuck me. We spoke about it yesterday. Should I do it? Should I do the segment again? Fuck. It's whatever. Like, yeah, sure. It's really sad to see Noah Samson get radicalized like a fucking teenager by extremists on YouTube, but you know, at the end of the day, he's doing it when he's in his mid-20s. So what am I gonna? Yeah, well, like I don't. I'm assuming. I'm not assuming. By the way, the only okay. I'm not assuming that he doesn't know that Bad Empanada supported October 7th, that he was really fucking happy about it, that he's actually really just upset that not enough Israelis died, and he doesn't care that. And he did so knowing full well what was going to happen afterwards. But that doesn't matter either because, like Hamas says as well, they feel like this is a win for them. Like, not the 30,000 dead, that's just part of it. The reason they think they're winning is because 30,000 people are dead, and that makes Israel look bad on the world stage. That's how they see it. So I'm just assuming that Noah knows all that and doesn't care, or he's burying his head in the sand, but whatever. Do an IDF fundraiser. Shut the fuck up. Like, if they want to throw their own advocacy off a cliff in a way that is transparent to like almost everyone who isn't also in the vortex with them, that's fine. Makes no difference to me. Can we move on now? I was about to move on, but now I think we should talk about it more. Although apparently the community post is gone. Why is the community post gone? Has he changed his mind? Where is it? He often deletes stuff. Yeah, I know, but why would he delete that one if he's announcing that he's going to show up on a fundraiser? I don't know. He'll make a video saying he got bullied. Oh no. I don't know. Should I just do it again? Should I just talk about it more now that we have a mad one in chat? Ooh. Okay. What? What was the? I don't know anything about it, so sure. The problem is I hang on. Is I decided to stop cataloging his mental tweets long before October 7th. So I don't have anything of his Twitter accounts where he was literally like cheering on October 7th as it happened. Basically complaining that not enough Israelis had died yet. Bad Empanada, not Noah. But I guess I could make a little story out of it if I've got the... As long as I have... What do you call it? The Hamas interview. Where he says that they're winning. Let's see.
Israel by not applying enough
Yeah,
pressure
but this
to
is not a
stop the
victory, is it?
genocide.
You said
This
we
is
must
the
snatch
victory.
This is
The
not a
victory that, yes,
snatched victory.
with all means. The victory has to be snatched, especially living under, which has been granted for us to continue as a slave. It's a right which has been granted for us without the
So you knew
without
what would
the flood
happen,
of Al-Aqsa.
and you did it
So
anyway.
what
Maybe
the
here?
American people, the Brit, Israel, even if they want to take,
It is you who has got blood on your hands of those 30,000 lives lost in Gaza because of the October 7th attack. If that hadn't happened, those 30,000 people would not have been killed. What's your answer?
unfortunately, this is the debate which is not agreed upon by the most of the masses in the world, the American people. This is absolutely Israel. Why didn't without the flood?
So you knew
without
what would
the flood
happen,
of Al-Aqsa.
and you did it
So
anyway.
what do you think? Without the flood, Israel, even if they want to take revenge, why? This is absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think we can probably talk about it. Why not? Okay. Ooh. Do I have the original tweet of him, of Noah announcing the fundraiser? Do I have that one? I guess I need this original thing as well, just for my proof. Golly. Okay. Wait, there's no way. There's no way this comment got deleted. No, it didn't. Okay. Okay. Jesus would sell NFTs, change my mind. It wasn't a community post, it was a comment on YouTube. Okay, we're good, we're good. Jesse Irwin, thanks for the 5 Canadian. I really appreciate that. What are you saying? Fun fact, I just learned apparently one of the people pushing for settlements after 67 was named Rabbi Cook. You can't make this up. Okay. Thanks for that. Okay. Sunday did a drive. I don't care. Whatever. He did a dramatic reading of WAP. Nice one. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so you want me to talk about it for some reason? Okay, why not? So apparently the other day, Noah Samson announced in a community post, which has since been deleted, although I don't think he's changed his mind because he has a reply from it here, that he was going to do a fundraiser with Bad Empanada, of all people, for UNRWA. And I guess the issue is that people are wondering why Noah is collaborating with someone who openly supported October 7th on his one of his many deleted Twitter accounts now, who basically thinks the solution to the Israel-Palestine conflict is to just, like, I guess, October 7th until eventually Israel's gone. I don't know. It's not really coherent. I mean, he used to tweet all the time about fucking bombing Tel Aviv, and he's like saying it's a really good thing that there are sirens going off in Tel Aviv. I think he basically believes that once, like, if it could happen, it never will, but if it could happen, one solution would be to invade Israel and dismantle the state. He doesn't think there's such a thing as an Israeli civilian. He thinks that basically, as long as you're born in Israel and you don't leave, you deserve the wall. So, okay, that's like 80% of them. He's spoken to me about wanting to put people who he considers Zionists, which is basically all of them, as people who deserve to be put into re-education camps. It's not really the kind of person who really cares all that much about a peaceful and just solution. He just wants Israelis to die, right? Even if it means, incidentally, a lot of Palestinians get killed in the process. Because if you're celebrating October 7th, you either are too stupid to understand what would have happened 5 minutes afterwards, or you know what was going to happen and you're okay with it because I guess you think Israel committing all those atrocities in response would be a good propaganda win. I don't know. Like, apparently 30,000 Palestinians is worth it for an international propaganda victory. But it seems to be that Hamas believes that, so it's not surprising that one of their supporters would say the same thing. This is a Hamas spokesperson being interviewed in Channel 4, being asked about how he feels about whether or not Operation Al-Aqsa Flood is going to plan, and this is on March 5th, so we can have a look.
This is absolutely because of Israel. Israel, even if they want to take revenge, why didn't they kill Hamas?
So you knew. So you knew
without
what would
the flood
happen,
of Al-Aqsa.
and you did it
So
anyway.
what do you think? Do you advise me to continue as a slave? It's a right which has been granted for us who are living under occupation. That the time, the diplomacy.
By the way, you living under occupation does not give you a right to go and target civilians. You don't have a right to do that. Ever, okay? Sorry.
And politics fail, it's a right of those people who are living under occupation to defend themselves with all means. The victory has to be snatched, especially when you are facing such extremist, murderous, criminal leadership of your enemy.
But you haven't snatched victory. Have you?
We have.
You snatched
We have defeated
the killing
Israel.
of 30,000 people.
No, we did not kill them. They have killed them, and the West have participated in that with their silence. And the American, they have supported Israel by not applying enough pressure
but this
to
is not a
stop the
victory, is it?
genocide.
You said
This
we
is
must
the
snatch
victory.
This is
The
not a
victory that, yes, the hegemony of Israel is no more over there. Nobody is tolerating Israel. Even as I said, American masses, even the British masses, the European masses.
You see, many people will find this very chilling, that you knew what would happen because history told you what would happen, and you knew that the majority of those killed would be women and children because we know what the population is of Gaza, and yet you went ahead anyway. In effect, you decided to sacrifice your own women and children for a political gamble.
We have two tracks.
So yeah, he believes it's a victory. Like, and it's not surprising that people like Bana Panada would believe that as well, because otherwise, that's the only logical explanation. The other explanation is you just didn't know. You didn't know what would happen after October 7th. You didn't know what would happen on October 8th until now, which would just make you too brain damaged to be making a YouTube to have YouTube videos on your channel. Yeah, like it's one or the other. So I'm probably going to say it's this one. I think his head is still attached to his body, Bana Panada. So I think, yeah, he sees that as part of the greater propaganda win, and 30,000 people dying get fucked. It's either that or he's too stupid to think of what would happen after October 7th. That's the only two options. Noah did respond to one of the people here, because I did wonder. I wondered why he would be fundraising for UNRWA, because a long time ago, a couple of years ago, I saw that he was in the replies of a comment section of his video, one of his videos, and someone told him that Vosh had fundraised for PCRF, the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, and his response was, laugh out loud, donating to children doesn't make you pro-Palestine. Palestinian liberation comes with weapons, not aid. Which makes me think, there's no way he just decided to fundraise for UNRWA very shortly after it's become reasonable to assume that some of their members were involved with Hamas. It's really interesting that his position on donating to children suddenly changes as soon as he finds an organization that he can donate to that might be connected to Hamas. Where UNRWA, where Hamas weapon stockpiles have been found in UNRWA buildings. People have been found firing rockets from UNRWA buildings. There have been tunnels that were found underneath UNRWA buildings. So, and obviously the response to this would be, as Noah says here, of the 13,000 people in UNRWA who were accused of being involved in October 7th, only 12 were alleged. These January allegations came directly from Israel, who did not provide any evidence and still haven't to this day. These unsubstantiated allegations were the basis for 16 governments, including the United States, to halt all funding to UNRWA, further escalating the disastrous famine in Gaza. It was condemned by the World Health Organization, Doctors Without Borders, and Amnesty International, who deemed it a heartless form of collective punishment. 2 governments and the EU have reinstated funding, only after the Flower Massacre on February 28th. Even US intelligence has since backed off of these claims, citing their thin base. Again, US intelligence, I don't know, people not reading their sources, I guess. US intelligence did not back off of the claims. They just said that some of them were reasonable, were likely, and others were not. One of the claims they said was likely was that some of the employees of the United Nations agency that distributes aid to Palestinians took part in the October 7th attack. Even the US intelligence assessment found that this was still likely. They just said it wasn't as widespread as Israel claimed, or they couldn't verify that it was widespread as Israel claimed, because Israel claimed it was 10% of all UNRWA workers had some kind of affiliation. Most of them would have been political. So they still said it was likely, and we still know that weapon stockpiles have been found in UNRWA buildings at least twice. So, and this is before October 7th as well. So the stockpiles thing. So again, I think you're maybe hand waving a little bit by saying they've backed off of those claims. That's not actually what was said. So this is why I assume Noah is maybe just kind of burying his head in the sand. Like, I don't think he actually knows how mental Bana Panada is, because Bana Panada is a fucking coward who only hides his most extreme opinions on tiny Twitter accounts that always get banned within a few months. He'll never go on his main YouTube channel or his live channel and tell you what he thinks about murdering Israeli civilians, or the fact that he thinks there are no Israeli civilians, and thinking that it would have been better if October 7th had killed like 11,000 or 111,000 Israelis rather than 1,100. But he'll never say that on somewhere where he might end up getting deplatformed, so is what it is. But hey, I just don't get, people who support October 7th, like, I don't understand what they thought was going to happen next, other than tens of thousands of people will die, and at best you'll get some propaganda points. No one thought Hamas was going to win. You could do the really naive one that they talk about in that fucking Fauda series, where they say that they want to do a terror attack because Israel's response will provoke the Muslim world into all uniting against Israel in a kind of like joint military invasion. But again, that ship has long sailed. None of the Arab states are up for doing that anymore. So it's definitely not that. It really is just, it's just thousands of Arabs to die for what, propaganda points. That's what people like Bana Banana want. More Arab graves to grandstand on top of. Anyway, I'm sorry to see Noah getting slowly radicalized by these kind of people, but it's funny. Every time I talk about Bana Banana, my Twitter replies, it's either white Marxist-Leninists, like from America or whatever else, but it's usually a 50-50 split between them and Islamic extremists, who usually post like fucking homophobia or some mad shit, and their profile banners all have like pictures of Hamas soldiers shooting their guns into the air and shit. Eek. I will say about UNRWA, by the way, I didn't actually support the mass defunding of UNRWA from European countries in the United States. I didn't support that when it happened. I thought if you are going to do that because of their potential or plausible, we like the word plausible these days, or even likely connections to Hamas, they still also do aid work. They do pretty important aid work in Gaza because of how many people in that strip are unemployed or don't have any other access to welfare and health benefits and education and shit like that. So, but I would just think you could move the money somewhere else. That's what I would have suggested doing. But it does also make me wonder why at this time, after these allegations came out, and after they haven't been completely written off, some of them have been deemed likely, that you would choose them over like PCRF. But we can guess. Anyway. Okay, we done talking about it now. God, it's not even that interesting. Fuck. It's just dumb people on the internet being dumb. Wow. Awesome. Okay. How many pull-ups can you do? If I'm doing that grip, I can do 8 in a row. If I'm doing that grip, the wide one, I can do like 6. Yeah, usually 6. Do you think UNRWA should be funded? Yeah, as long as, well, I think if it turns out that there's at least like credible information that they're connected to Hamas, then the funding should be moved to other organizations. But I don't believe in a blanket defunding with no alternative paths. Anyway. As of right now, no, I just said if you're going to move the funds, it should be moved to another organization that is more reliable and doesn't have allegations against them. Which I'm pretty sure they can do. I don't know if unless there are specific jobs that only UNRWA can do. That would be a different story, but who knows? Anyway. Isn't it very easy to create allegations? Not that easy. At least not ones that, again, America have deemed some of them to be likely or plausible. So unless these are the kind of people who throw out U.S. intel as well, right? U.S. intel, we can't trust any of that either, even though people already ate their words with that when it came to Russia invading Ukraine, because U.S. intel was correct about that. But what can you say? What can you do? What is this video? Oh, this is This is from someone in my community who made this video. Apparently, it's Hassan lying about Deir Yassin. I'm guessing he's just exaggerating the atrocities. I don't know if he's going to lie about the numbers or anything like that. Let's see.
Establish the state of Israel.
They're not getting too deep into this, but if you want to understand the Nakba, I would say Deir Yassin is like one of the most horrifying massacres that there are still survivors from on both sides, both the Zionist brigades and also the Palestinians that escaped, that have accounted.
What Palestinian organization would be reliable? Oh, PCRF. I don't think PCRF have ever had allegations that like a number of them participated on October 7th, and more than one country believes that. I don't think that's been the case. So,
that have recounted the horrifying experiences like brutal rapes, people getting thrown in wells, people getting thrown in ovens, and things of that nature. And the brutality of Deir Yassin basically caused this massive effect through word of mouth in every single Palestinian village from the river to the sea, that made it easier for the Zionist brigades to then turn around and forcibly...
he's oven posting again. Yeah, so it's like what he's doing is he's just repeating what the Arab propaganda lines were at the time from the radio broadcasts. And also just other things that emerged over time. Eek. But yeah, Deir Yassin was bad, but yeah, the problem was that when it happened, the Arab leaders at the time decided that they were going to exaggerate it. They explicitly threw in all kinds of embellishments, like people getting thrown into the wells, like mass rapes, like tanks and airplanes being used. And like, I think it was 100 dead. Then it was 250 dead was the first number, because that also was used by the Haganah and the Irgun. But then it also became 500 dead. I think one paper said 1,000. It wasn't even in the broadcast. Well, the oven thing wasn't in the broadcast. The oven thing came decades afterwards, yeah. It was from a survivor in like 2002, but never, and no one ever said anything about it before then. No witnesses said anything. No radio broadcast said it at the time. Yeah, fuck.
Expel people from other villages, and the number in the Nakba was, of course, 700,000 Palestinians who left with their home keys and the deeds of their houses in their fucking pockets, thinking that they would be able to return, which they were never able to. This is a major point of contention.
It was such a tragedy. Deir Yassin was a lovely village.
The events at Deir Yassin would haunt relations between Jews and Arabs for years to come. Deir Yassin had stayed out of the fighting. It was not on the Haganah's list of hostile villages.
I ran into a man who had left us for the terrorists. He told me that the Irgun and Lehi had got permission from our commander to attack the village of Deir Yassin. He was very proud.
The Irgun and Lehi forces were ordered to take Deir Yassin.
I ran to my commander and asked, "Why did you allow it?" He said, "I suggested 2 other targets. They turned them down." He said, "I can't shoot them, can I?" So I decided to spy on them.
Their loudspeakers.
It's interesting reading the people who said that I can't shoot them, can I? But then actually seeing them talk about it as well.
Irgun and Lehi forces were ordered to take Deir Yassin.
I ran to my commander and asked, "Why did you allow it?"
He said David Shaltiel. Yeah, he's the guy. Yeah.
He said,
Who said I
"I
can't shoot
suggested 2 other targets. They turned them down." He said, "I
It's not
can't."
exact, yeah, because the guy said David Shaltiel, right? Who was the commander from
Shoot them,
Jerusalem.
can I? So I decided to spy on them.
Shoot them in the back. Yeah. Shoot them in the back. Yeah, that's what I read as well.
Their loudspeakers blared out, "Lay down your arms. Run for your lives."
Oh yeah, I managed to dig this up as well with the loudspeakers. It turns out there were like a small handful of people up on the front walls who heard the loudspeaker, but no one in the actual center of the village heard it. That's
Then I heard our machine gun. I was kneeling
But they
down
didn't hear the speaker until after the gunshots. So
like this. When I looked up, I saw the village ablaze. Their attack lit up the whole village.
The village was not the soft target the Jews had expected.
From the windows of their houses, Arabs were shooting at our soldiers. And from a force of 132, we had 42 wounded and 6 dead.
The commander ordered a house-to-house attack.
So I gave the order, before entering a house, throw a couple of grenades inside. They threw a grenade into one house. 28.
have you planned on making a video essay on it? On Deir Yassin? I have. I've got 2 on Deir Yassin. It's not really that. I mean, there's a lot more detail you can go into if you want to go into all the conflict between the Palmach and the Haganah and the fucking Irgun and Lehi. Yeah, you could go into all that and all the different memoirs of people fighting with each other. But no, I mean, I've said all I need to say about it now.
Were killed.
It was impossible to attack the enemy without hurting their families. It was difficult. It was painful, and I'm sorry we had to do it.
What about a third?
But
Fuck
we
off.
had no choice.
After the battle, they took 14 prisoners. They lined them up by the quarry and mowed them down. They threw their bodies in the quarry. That's what happened.
While this was going on, Jews came from the next village. Most of them were religious, by the
Called the
way.
murderers.
They started yelling, "Bastards, murderers, what are you doing?" Some shouted in Hebrew, others in Yiddish. They stopped the massacre.
110 Arabs died in Deir Yassin. Some died fighting, others were murdered. The survivors were taken to Jerusalem.
We gathered in Jerusalem at the Hebron gate. We checked who was missing, and
I like this guy. I feel like I believe everything this guy says.
at the Hebron gate. We checked who was missing and who had survived. Then the Palestinian leaders arrived, including Dr. Khalidi.
I asked Dr. Khalidi how we should cover the story. He said, we must make the most of this. So he wrote a press release stating that at Deir Yassin, children were murdered, pregnant women were raped, all sorts of atrocities.
Arab radio stations passed on the false reports, ignoring the protests of the witnesses.
We said there was no rape. He said we have to say this so the Arab armies will come to liberate Palestine from the Jews.
This was our biggest mistake. We did not realize how our people would react. As soon as they heard that women had been raped at Deir Yassin, Palestinians fled in terror. They ran away from all our villages.
In the next few months, over half the Arab population, 750,000 people, fled their homes in Palestine.
This is again, this is why the whole rape thing now doesn't make that much sense. Like, atrocity propaganda doesn't always work. It's actually quite unpredictable what can happen. You can also, especially with rape stuff, because it's so easy to allow it to sow divisions in the community as well, because obviously people don't like to accept that people they knew got raped as well, and especially if there's any kind of like social conservatism going about it. Yeah, fuck. It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
Israel never allowed them back.
Okay. Interesting. That was from a community member. If you want to go look at what he has to say, go for it. All right. Holy shit. Do I? I'm not going to stream for that long today, you guys. I got stuff to do. But do I? He used that video as well, traveling Israel. Yeah, he did, yeah. Yeah, but the problem is you end up getting, you get these different worlds, right? Because obviously people today don't generally say the entire story, like the entire propagandized version of Deir Yassin, because like the inflated numbers just doesn't fly anymore. But people will grab some of it, like the wells and the ovens and all that shit. People will grab that part of the story to sell today. But then also, it just makes it so easy for deniers, like people on the pro-Israeli side, to just be like, listen, everything you heard about Deir Yassin is actually bullshit, and here's the Arab propagandists literally admitting to propagandizing the event because they wanted to use it to inspire military intervention. And then you're like, oh, so it was fine? Was it just a battle? And then you're like, well, no, it wasn't a battle. There were still atrocities. There were still mostly civilians who were killed. There was still a village that was not deemed a reasonable military target by the Haganah, but people only allowed them to go there because they wouldn't go anywhere else. So, God. Fuck. It's so annoying how you just get this kind of ping pong of bullshit takes on the same event. All right. Second thought. The most dangerous thing in the Western Hemisphere Gryffindor Slytherin. Oh no. Do I want to watch this? I guess I have to watch this. Fuck. Ayub Matan with the $1.99 still pushing no deaths of famine. Why did you pay me to say that? When did I say there were no deaths of famine, you dumb cunt? I said it was very reasonable to assume that given the aid situation in the north, you'd expect people to go into famine. What are you talking about? Okay. Easy $2, I know, right?
This episode and others like it are brought to you by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to help support this channel...
Which mean you were laughing up with I wasn't laughing that... What are you talking... I was laughing up the fact that people were going with this one picture of a black and white blurry image that was only getting shared on fucking Quds News Network and shit. That's not the same as me saying it's definitely not going to happen or it's never going to... or it's impossible. What? Anyway... I know it's difficult for people like you to actually hear just like what words I'm actually saying, but like you just have to jump to whatever narrative you think is the easiest one to attack. But what can you say? I don't know. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, sorry, no more free messages, shithead. All right.
This episode and others like it are brought to you by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to help support this channel, join our growing Discord server, and get early access to every video, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought.
First, I must confess that over the past few years, I have been gravely disappointed with the white moderate.
Fuck you, man. There's no way. There's no way he's using the white moderate quote. Oh my god. One more white communist who has never read the actual letter from MLK, apparently. Let's find it. Let's see what else he says in this letter. Are we going to agree with this as well? From the same letter. I've consistently preached that non-violence demands that the means we use must be as pure as the ends we seek. Tried to make clear that it is wrong to use immoral means to attain moral ends. But now I must affirm that this is just as wrong, or perhaps even more so, to use moral means to preserve immoral ends. Like the amount of times in this... At first, I was rather disappointed that fellow clergymen would see my non-violent efforts as those of an extremist. I began thinking about the fact that I stand in the middle of two opposing forces in the Negro community. One is a force of complacency, made up in part of Negroes who, as a result of long years of oppression, are so drained of self-respect and a sense of somebodyness that they have adjusted to segregation, and in part of a few middle-class Negroes who, because of a degree of academic and economic security, and because in some ways they profit by segregation, have become insensitive to the problem of the masses. So he doesn't like those ones, the complacent middle classes, okay? The other force is one of bitterness and hatred, and it comes perilously close to advocating violence. It is expressed in the various black nationalist groups that are springing up across the nation, the largest and best known being Elijah Muhammad's Muslim movement. Nourished by the Negro's frustration over the continued existence of racial discrimination, this movement is made up of people who have lost faith in America, who have absolutely repudiated Christianity, and who have concluded that the white man is an incorrigible devil. I've tried to stand between these two forces, not the do-nothingism of the complacent, nor the hatred and despair of the black nationalist, for there is the more excellent way of love and non-violent protest. Is this what Second Thought advocates for? Is this what we want? I choose to ignore that part. Yeah, well, we definitely can't look at his quotes on Israel, can we? That's too easy. Fuck me. Where are my notes? I took a bunch of notes from this. Yeah, radical white moderate MLK. Fuck. It's so gross as well, the way people try to weaponize this shit to push something that MLK fought just as hard against as well. Hmm. I love this one. Him from How Should a Christian View Communism? Communism is based on ethical relativism and accepts no stable moral absolutes. Right and wrong are relative to the most expedient methods of dealing with class war. Communism exploits the dreadful philosophy that the end justifies the means. It enunciates movingly the theory of a classless society, but alas, its methods for achieving this noble end are all too often ignoble. Lying, violence, murder, and torture are considered to be justifiable means to achieve the millennial end. Is this an unfair indictment? Listen to the words of Lenin, the real tactician of communist theory. We must be ready to employ trickery, deceit, law-breaking, withholding, and concealing truth. I don't even know if Lenin actually said this, but these are MLK's words here. Modern history has known many torturous nights and horror-filled days because his followers have taken this statement seriously. Oh dear. That's who Second Thought is voicing.
I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the Negro's great stumbling block in his...
By the way, the white moderates he's referring to in this speech were clerics from Alabama, 9 or 10 of them, who were complaining that they thought his tactics of breaking segregationist laws peacefully, protesting without permits, were too extreme because they precipitated violence from the cops. Those are the moderates he's talking to, right? As in people who are not really like liberal or center left. He's talking to just like actual like right-leaning centrists almost, just people who were not segregationists, but people who were actually against civil disobedience. To be fair, plenty of moderates today hate peaceful protest. No. Or maybe moderates do, but not center-left people or liberals, because this is about liberals. The most dangerous thing in the Western Hemisphere is going to be about liberals. What's this? Letter to an anti-Zionist friend. Yeah, MLK was pro-Zionist. Yeah, of course he was. Christian. John Lewis. When people criticize Zionists, they mean Jews. You're talking anti-Semitism. Peace for Israel means security, and we must stand with all our might to protect its right to exist, its territorial integrity. I see Israel as one of the great outposts of democracy in the world, and a marvelous example of what can be done, how desert land can be transformed into an oasis of brotherhood and democracy. Wow. That's even more Zionist than something I would say. Where is... trying to think, remember, I submit that an individual who breaks a law that conscience tells him is unjust and who willingly accept the penalty of imprisonment in order to arouse the conscience of the community over its injustice is in reality expressing the highest respect for the law. Where is it he says here? He says something about how, oh yeah. In no sense do I advocate evading or defying the law as with the rabid segregationist. That would lead to anarchy. One who breaks an unjust law must do so openly, lovingly, and with a willingness to accept the penalty. Bro. Stop invoking MLK for your retarded fucking Soviet bullshit, okay? He wanted nothing to do with it. He was a non-violent advocate. He was anti-violence. He was a reasonable advocate for civil disobedience, non-violent civil disobedience. Even if you're getting attacked by cops in your protest, he said take it, because the cameras will take pictures of them doing it to you, and you will look better, and it will bring you closer to achieving your goals. That's what MLK believed. Stop trying to fucking hijack him for your bullshit fucking Stalinist nonsense. Jesus Christ.
Stride toward freedom is not the white citizens' counselor or the Ku Klux Klaner, but the white moderate, who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice, who constantly says, I agree with you in the goal you seek, but I cannot agree with your methods of direct action, who paternalistically believes he can set the timetable for another man's freedom.
That white person that you see calling himself a liberal is the most dangerous thing in the entire Western Hemisphere.
And putting these two side by side as well, even though Malcolm X fucking had so many problems with MLK, he called MLK a fucking Uncle Tom for his strategies, and a house Negro. Like, fuck. And the MLK, when Malcolm X was trying to get MLK and other civil rights leaders involved in with the Nation of Islam, you know what MLK did? He just didn't answer. He didn't even answer the calls to say no. He just left the messages with his secretary and didn't respond. He left Malcolm X unread. Okay? Ugh.
The most deceitful. He's like a fox. And a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming. You know what he's up to. But the fox will fool you. He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his
who are these people? What the fuck? Okay, who we got here?
Entire Western Hemisphere. He's the most deceitful. He's like a fox.
Bernie Sanders. Okay, oh, they turn on him really fast. Deceitful. He did not take Malcolm X, known anti-Semite actually, even though Malcolm X in the last 2 years of his life rejected a lot of the Nation of Islam. He never rejected the anti-Semitism. At most, he got a little bit more quiet about it. The fact that you got Malcolm X saying deceitful over the picture of a fucking Jew, come on. You fucking joking?
And a fox is always more dangerous in the forest than the wolf. You can see the wolf coming.
Warren?
You know what he's up to.
These are, yeah, like social democrats. And apparently they belong in the same sphere as what? People who... Alabaman clerics from the 60s who opposed civil disobedient protest, non-violent civil disobedience. Pelosi, okay.
He comes at you with his mouth shaped in such a way that even though you see his teeth, you think he's smiling. You take him for a friend.
We're a minute in, and this is actually the stupidest video I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. Oh my god. Okay.
Alright. Rolling.
Okay. Minor, why is your shirt that low? This is like... Why have you buttoned your shirt down that low? Okay.
Rolling. Okay, let's go. Over the past 5 months, just about everyone I know has come to the same conclusion.
He looks like he's about to fucking knock back a bunch of shots and fucking sexually harass a bunch of spring breakers in a bar. Fuck's sake.
Dyed-in-the-wool liberals are as much the enemy of normal, decent people as conservatives are. And when I say liberal, I don't mean your average Joe who likes Harry Potter and Marvel movies and doesn't really think about politics outside of election years.
Will you shut up, man?
I mean the people who love Harry Potter and Marvel movies and also go out of their way to scold Palestinians for resisting their own extermination. People who demand you condemn Hamas while refusing to acknowledge that history didn't begin on October 7th. People who split their time evenly between rewatching Hamilton and calling anyone who criticizes Joe Biden a Russian troll or a Chinese spy.
If they're supposed to be resisting their own extermination, then why are Hamas representatives calling what's happening now a victory for them? Why are they doing that? Should we watch it again? Let's watch it again. Let's find it. Is it here?
With all means. The victory has to be snatched, especially when you are facing such extremist, murderous, criminal leadership of your enemy.
But you haven't snatched victory.
Israel, by not applying enough pressure
but this
to
is not
stop
a victory,
the genocide.
is it? You said
this
we
is
must
the
snatch
victory.
This is
The
not a
victory that, yes, the hegemony of Israel is no more over there. Nobody is tolerating Israel.
Okay. That's worth 30... Jesus.
I think you know the type. But just so we're on the same page before we go any further, let me be extra clear. Liberalism is the default ideology in the imperial core. The average person ends up with a liberal perspective by osmosis. There is a pipeline from simply existing in the empire to becoming a rabid servant of the empire. And if you feel like this is an attack on you personally, please don't feel that way. Everyone should be capable of changing their perspective when presented with new evidence.
Oh, it's so
if you're not,
condescending.
that's a good sign you may have been indoctrinated into a dangerous ideology.
Like the same person who thinks he can use MLK from Birmingham jail side by side with Malcolm X and act as if that's a condemnation of fucking Bernie Sanders and AOC. But no, apparently other people are doing the indoctrination. When you leave out the fact that MLK opposed for his entire life the tactics of people like Malcolm X and incidentally the guys that you support like fucking Stalin and shit, and also probably definitely Hamas. Interesting.
But that's what this video is about. I'm going to give you just a little bit
Don't
of
worry,
evidence
guys. It's
that
other people doing the indoctrination, okay? Not this guy.
Western liberals are a tremendous force for evil. And contrary to what they want you to believe, they absolutely do not care about truth, justice, peace, or progress. Let's start with the civil rights era. A lot of Americans today erroneously believe that when Dr. King came onto the scene, he magically opened everyone's eyes and ended racism. Sure, things were bad back then, but
no one thinks this. This straw man is so ridiculous. I see it on Twitter all the time as well. It's like, it's such a Reddit post. Like this idea that the perspective on the civil rights protest is what? That he just came along, gave a speech, and then people stopped being... That's not the... What people actually think, and what's fucking true, is that MLK led civil rights protesters into non-violent protests, whether it was sitting in at lunch counters, whether it was turning up outside and demonstrating outside polling stations where people were struggling to register to vote, whether it was marches, whether it was sometimes deliberately marching in areas where you knew that the violence would come from cops against you, where they would literally have people who were veteran protesters at the front of the march because they would willingly absorb all the hits from the cops so that the camera people could be there taking pictures of it and blasting it around the world saying, look at these non-violent protesters getting attacked by cops. That's actually what happened. And most black Americans, the majority of them supported non-violent protest. Maybe we'll find the poll of it, who knows. Where's the poll? I'll look for it when I'm doing this. Or I'll just leave you guys waiting. Hang on. Ooh. Is it here? Yeah. I don't think I'm going to find it. It is here, but it's like a it's like a 40-page document. We can be patient though. What was the poll? Oh, is this Malcolm X calling MLK and Uncle Tom?
The Reverend Martin Luther King preaches a doctrine of nonviolent insistence upon the rights of the American Negro. What is your attitude toward this philosophy?
The white man pays Reverend Martin Luther King, subsidizes Reverend Martin Luther King.
I forgot he said that. I forgot he said that MLK was paid by the white man. Oh, what a fucking joke, dude. Oh, by the way, Malcolm X did his contribution to the civil rights movement in terms of action was nothing. What did he do? He didn't do any violence himself. He showed up at a few protests every now and then to give speeches, but at the same time, the MLK and his guys were literally like facing segregationists right in the face, facing violent attacks from the police and from the Klan right in the face. This guy was just writing fucking letters about it, calling them Uncle Toms and shitting on them. Occasionally trying to get involved, but MLK didn't want anything to do with him in terms of protest because rightly so.
So that Reverend Martin Luther King can continue to teach the Negroes to be defenseless. That's what you mean by nonviolent. Be defenseless. Be defenseless in the face of one of the most cruel beasts that has ever taken the people into captivity. That's this American white man. And they have proved it throughout the country by the police dogs and the police clubs. 100 years ago, they used to put on a white sheet and use a bloodhound against Negroes. Today, they have taken off the white sheet and put on police uniforms. They've traded in the bloodhounds for police dogs, and they're still doing the same thing. And just as Uncle Tom, back during slavery, used to keep the Negroes from resisting the bloodhound or resisting the Ku Klux Klan by teaching them to love their enemy or pray for those who use them despitefully, today Martin Luther King is just a 20th century or modern Uncle Tom or a religious Uncle Tom who is doing the same thing today to keep Negroes defenseless in the face of attack that Uncle Tom did on the plantation to keep those Negroes defenseless in the face of the attacks of the Klan in that day.
Wow. Let's see. I think it's in my video, the screenshot of that poll. I guess we can get it there. A few. Let's see. North. Oh, it was from here. It was Brink and Harris. No, it wasn't. It was, yeah, okay. 1963, 22% said that they agreed that blacks will have to use violence. Only 22%. And then 21% in the South. Yeah, violence was never, between 63, like the biggest years of the civil rights movement. It was never the more favored option amongst black Americans, like never. Anyway.
His words were so moving that everyone put down their pitchforks and agreed that we were all equal. And of course,
what's happened there? Oh,
the white liberals were marching hand in hand with black Americans to forge a path to a brighter future. While MLK did have a profound way with words, and there were indeed a number of white Americans who marched for equal rights, this simplified view of the civil rights era is exceptionally misleading.
Let's go more complex.
Martin Luther King is one of the most co-opted figures in modern history.
Yep.
Everyone tries to claim him for their particular set of beliefs.
Yep.
I made a whole video about how history whitewashes black radicals.
Okay.
But the thing about these people waxing poetic about how great King was is that 90% of the time, they would have hated the man had they lived in the same era. Think about your family members today and how they reacted to the Black Lives Matter rallies and protests. If they're anything like my family, you probably heard some pretty ignorant, hateful statements. The same exact thing happened in Dr. King's time. Police brutality, rampant racism, and constant attempts to misconstrue what the movement—
The fact that he isn't addressing the nonviolent efforts of MLK and the fact that he was also opposed by people like Malcolm X for his nonviolent efforts, the fact that he's not actually addressing that, or not even being ignorant, not even saying actually MLK was quite like like a socialist or a communist or was more pro-violence. Like the fact that he's not even mentioning it suggests he kind of knows. He just wants to hide it. That would be quite cringe. Yeah.
Movement was really about. The thing that always concretizes that fact for me is this comic by the white moderate cartoonist Charles Brooks.
Was Charles Brooks a white moderate? The Birmingham News. Okay. Sure, dude. I'm pretty sure this was a... Hang on. I feel like I had something on this. I know Brooks opposed the Klan. I don't think he was a moderate, though. He was still a segregationist. It was the Birmingham News in Alabama. Okay.
King talking to a reporter with the city destroyed in the background and some white people lying on the ground, and King saying, "I plan to lead another non-violent march tomorrow." This is exactly what we see today. Liberals get uncomfortable and suddenly they're not for equal rights anymore. Or more accurately, they still say they are, but they just have some concerns about optics. That's not how you're supposed to protest. Why can't everyone just protest
Also, MLK was massively optics brained. Like, that's partly why they would literally do what was called, where was it? Was the purification? Where they would, again, from Birmingham jail, is that he would teach self-purification to protesters, which basically included them asking themselves if they were able to accept blows without retaliating, whether they were able to to endure the ordeal of jail. They literally postponed this protest here that he went to jail for. They postponed it because they didn't want their protest to clash with a mayoral election. Even though the two candidates were segregationists. It's just that one was Bull Connor and the other one was less crazy than him, less brutal. It occurred to us that Birmingham's mayoral election was coming up in March, and we speedily decided to postpone action until after Election Day. When we discovered that the Commissioner of Public Safety, Eugene Bull Connor, had piled up enough votes to be in the runoff, we decided again to postpone action until the day after the runoff so that the demonstrations could not be used to cloud the issues. Okay, dude. That sounds like something a liberal would do, but okay.
Peacefully. Why? So you can ignore it? The entire point of protest is to be disruptive. But even if we put that aside, no one wants to have to protest. They want things to change with as little friction as possible. But that's just not how things work when the oppressor class likes their position, and that position is dependent upon subjugating another class. It's like Castro said during the Cuban Revolution. The people did not choose the path of armed struggle. It was the path that was forced upon them. Same with Palestine. The number of tweets I've seen from liberals saying, "I don't understand why they can't just peacefully protest," is insane. And every single time someone claps back,
"Wait, like MLK did? What?"
"Can't just peacefully protest," is insane. And every single time someone claps back with a different instance of Palestinians peacefully organizing and being killed all the same. By the time King penned his letter from Birmingham jail, which you heard some of at the beginning of this video, he had become disenchanted with white northern liberals, who had earlier in his career been his greatest source.
They were not white, they were not northern, it wasn't even liberals. It was Alabama clerics, you dumb fuck. That's what the letter was in response to.
Of white support. But when King started talking about systemic issues that intersected with racism, such as economic inequality, these liberals started to squirm. The comfortable whites who looked down on the southern yokels for their ignorance and racism were now in the hot seat themselves. They benefited from a two-tiered society in which liberal elites were at the top. And so the complaint about optics.
I have earnestly opposed violent tension, but there is a type of constructive, non-violent tension which is necessary for... There's so many. I don't know why people try to cling on to this idea that the fact that he tries to pull MLK under the same umbrella as Malcolm X kind of says it all.
Was born. Look, Dr. King, we support your ideals, but the way you're protesting just isn't okay. This is the way liberals operate. They support emancipation movements in theory, but as soon as it crosses into the realm of the material, they become no different than conservatives. If violent protest is illegal, and nonviolent protest gets your liberal supposed supporters to condemn your movement, what recourse do you have to effect change? There's a reason imperial core countries are actively trying to criminalize various forms of protest. They have a vested interest in things remaining the same. As Kwame Ture said in his 1969 book, The Pitfalls of Liberalism, what a liberal really wants is to bring about change which will not in any way endanger his position. That is, of course, impossible when we're talking about fixing the systemic problems of racism, imperialism, and economic inequality. According to a 1966 Harris poll, King's favorable rating among white Americans was just 27%. Compare that to 95% today. That's how liberals operate. They oppose any attempts at emancipation while they're happening, then pretend they were always on the side of the righteous when they have the benefit of history books telling them who the good guys were. There's a great tweet that really sums up this liberal tendency. A liberal is someone who opposes—
It's interesting that he's using those polls, because yeah, MLK was mostly unpopular for most of his career, but his popularity throughout the mid-years of the civil rights movement actually did go a lot higher than 27%. It started to drop again because of Vietnam. But yeah, that was a problem. That was a problem with people who were, I wouldn't say they were, again, liberal, like the same kind of liberals as Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. They were much more likely, like, because again, people try to, when they say liberal, they try to invoke like the entire spectrum, all the way from social democrat to like Thatcher and Reagan. That's what they try to go for. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I would imagine the more left-leaning ones will have sympathized with MLK more so, but then the more right-leaning ones, like those clerics from Alabama, who were anti-segregationists but were also anti-civil disobedience, would have gone the other way. But yeah, that's the problem, is that the people these guys consider liberals are such a broad church, but they'll often use the most extreme, like the most right-wing, like pro-fucking hawkish small government liberals on the right, and then use that brush to just paint everyone, including social, like all the way to social democrats or even democratic socialists like Bernie. So a liberal is someone who opposes every war except the current war and supports all civil rights movements except the one that's going on right now. Okay, sure, dude. Yeah.
Opposes every war except the current war and supports all civil rights movements except the one going on.
Didn't Bernie partake in civil rights protests? I thought he did, yeah. Well, these guys don't care. These guys don't give a fuck.
Right now. Now, while MLK was outspoken in his disappointment with white liberals, Malcolm X went a critical step further and correctly labeled them an enemy of genuine progress and liberation. The conservatives are wolves. You know what they're up to. They're evil and they're honest. Not because they care about being honest, but because they're not afraid to wield power when they have it. The liberal is a fox. Less outwardly threatening, even seemingly approachable, but still a predator. A conservative will usually be open about their racism and how they need to keep the dirty foreigners out. Whereas a liberal will say things like, I see you, I hear you, hate has no place here. And then they'll run campaign ads about how conservatives are failing to secure the southern border. Biden hasn't stopped building Trump's wall. That should tell you everything you need to know about the liberal approach to immigration. Pretend you're deeply concerned, and then do the same thing the conservatives are doing. Or take the genocide in Gaza. We've seen a handful of the more liberal Democrats speak out against what Israel is doing, which is no small feat for a politician in the United States. But then when push comes to shove, they do the evil thing anyway. As I'm writing this script, every single Senate Democrat just voted to continue funding the genocide in Gaza. Every single one. It's like the meme. The people on the receiving end of US militarism don't care whether the people who sent the bombs are deeply concerned about it. They're still sending the bombs.
Maybe that's because Israel got attacked on October 7th by a military organization under a de facto government that wanted to destroy the entire fucking Jewish state, and still, to this day, have a charter that talks about Jews hiding behind trees and the trees saying, hey, Muslim, there's a Jew behind me, come kill them. Eek. Again, Biden, even in his State of the Union, spoke about how he was pushing for the humanitarian ceasefire. for the 6-week ceasefire to get humanitarian aid into the north, and how he drew a red line for Netanyahu over the Rafah crossing, and also how the American support for Israel effectively stopped them from going to war immediately with Hezbollah on the next day of October 7th as well. So the fact that he did all that, but the problem is they don't want that. They don't even, when they say ceasefire, they don't want like humanitarian ceasefire or bilateral ceasefire. They want a unilateral ceasefire. Their ideal world is where Israel stops doing anything and just kind of takes whatever comes to them, right? That's what they want.
Socialists like me tend to joke about Democrats just being...
Which is fine if you want that, but, you know, just like, welcome to the real world. I'm sorry. Like, you can take that back to your fucking... You can take that and just like dream about it in your little fucking wank chariot, but at the end of the day, you can't just ask a nation of people of which I think 80% of its citizens were born there to just die. You can't actually ask people to do that.
Republicans with a rainbow flag painted on their bombers. But it's absolutely true. The liberals' only objection to imperialism and global domination is on aesthetic grounds. They may say they're cool with gay people, but they're still going to turn the rest of the world to glass if it means maintaining our hegemony. A good example of this meaningless liberal pandering is when Pharrell recently sent Trump a cease and desist to stop Trump from using his songs at rallies. And then he turned around and performed at a fundraising gala for the IDF. The people who've killed 11,000 children in the past few months, who have targeted doctors saving injured people, journalists trying to show...
Targeted. Okay, can we prove that, please? The way they always use targeted is so dumb. Anyway.
The world what's happening. The people who blindfolded a man, told him to run, and then sniped him in the back of the head. Okay, celebrities being useless is one thing, but when you have a liberal world leader, that's when things get really dangerous. Take Trudeau, for example. In response to one of the many ongoing protests for Palestine in Canada, on February 13th, he posted the following on Twitter. The demonstration at Mount Sinai Hospital yesterday was reprehensible. Hospitals are places for treatment and care, not protest and intimidation. I strongly condemn this display of anti-Semitism. In Toronto and across Canada, we stand with Jewish communities against this hate. This is insane. If you've been online at all in the last 5 months, you'll know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, obviously. Because you think Israel just decided to target a bunch of hospitals for actually absolutely no reason, just because for some reason they just don't like it when Palestinian kids get treatment or when people are injured and they go and get their wounds fixed. Even though if they believed that and if they had the attitude towards hospitals, why wouldn't they just bomb? Why wouldn't they just airstrike the entire thing and flatten it, rather than what they did at Al Shifa, which is when they actually moved in slowly. They moved in very slowly, and they even brought fucking like again, which wasn't enough, but no other army would do it. Like we're going in and actually bringing like fucking fuel and incubators and shit like that to try and keep the hospital operating as much as they could when they were going in. Apparently they just did that for what? For the lulz? Again, if that's their attitude towards hospitals, why don't they just airstrike it?
Justin Trudeau, liberal darling, has supported to the hilt the Israeli apartheid regime, which has bombed every single hospital in Gaza out of operation. Not only that, these monsters also dressed as doctors and nurses and infiltrated...
When they say this, that they bombed every single hospital, when they say bombed, do they mean that these hospitals, like part of the complexes, got damaged from bombs, or do they say that they actually airstruck and flattened them? Because again, the idea when you say bombed a hospital, I imagine like a plane targets a hospital, goes overhead and just drops a bomb right on it with patients inside, and it just gets completely like disappeared off the face of the earth, because that's what they could do. But I don't think that's happened to any hospital yet. Just hitting with within a radius. And again, even if you take Al Shifa, which is like the best example of a criticism of a failure of the IDF, because they completely amplified the claims in comparison to what they found at Al Shifa. But even in that hospital complex, they still found tunnels. And the rule is the correct number of tunnels you're supposed to dig around a hospital for military purposes is 0. You're not supposed to do that, because when you use civilian infrastructure for military purposes, which is all Hamas does, then you are jeopardizing the protected status of that institution. And people are going to say, well, are those tunnels not built by the Israelis? No, that's not true. No. This building here has a bunker with some tunnels in it that were built in the 80s. This tunnel breach here is is under the Qatari building, which was built after 2005. After the pullout. So, eek.
Traded a hospital to shoot and terrorize the patients and heroic staff inside. To the liberal, walking out...
The patients and heroic staff in that operation. Wait, hang on. Israel Special Forces Operation Hospital. Again, I feel like it's taking something that you could make a pretty reasonable criticism of. With the hospital, where they went in disguises, the special forces guys went in disguise and shot a couple of suspects. But when they say shot the patients and the staff, I'm pretty sure the only people who died in that raid were militants. It was 3 militants they killed in that hospital. Again, you can criticize the way they did it because I don't think it's legal internationally. I'm pretty sure it's illegal to disguise yourself as a fucking doctor to do an operation. But this is not an operation where he said, what did he say? Killed?
Terrorized the patients and as doctors and nurses and infiltrated a hospital to shoot and terrorize the patients and heroic staff inside.
To shoot the patients and heroic staff? What? The 3 militants? Okay. The heroic militant. Okay, sure, dude. Nice one.
To the liberal, walking outside a hospital and demanding justice is a bridge too far. But butchering an entire population because it serves the interest of capital is perfectly acceptable.
The war in Gaza right now is happening to serve the interests of capital. You fucking kidding me? Bro. Oh, that was why. Are we going to go into the conspiracy theory about the reserve? Holy shit. There's definitely nothing else that happened in the last few months that would have inspired that war. Wow. Eugh. I guess we're not going to get Israel's GDP since October 7th anytime soon. Is it arms companies? Is it that? What would it be? Raytheon? I guess we have here January last year. They're doing all right. February. No, this is this year. Hang on. Give me 1 year, please. Oh, yeah. Raytheon was in trouble. So they were like, you know what we should do? Is let's get Hamas to make an incredibly stupid decision to get our stonks back up from 69 to 91 to where they were in 2023, in early 23. Look at that heist.
The justification for statements like Trudeau's has always been opposing anti-Semitism. That obviously doesn't work anymore. It's an absurd claim to make that criticizing a genocidal apartheid regime is anti-Semitic. And it's become even more clearly absurd now that we've seen hundreds of thousands of Jewish people around the world stand up against Israel's ethnic cleansing campaign and say, "You do not represent us." All you have to do is look at footage from within Israel itself. Jews are brutalized by the fascist police for daring to speak out against the regime. The anti-Semitism charge obviously doesn't work anymore. So the liberals have fallen back on what they do best, weaponizing vague feelings. The main objection to rallies for Palestine now is that it makes people feel uncomfortable or unsafe on college campuses in the West. Here's an example.
Can you imagine if I made this like same complaint? It turns out that if you protest, if you're those like those right-leaning shitheads who are trying to blockade into Gaza, and they come on fucking horseback and beat the shit out of them. So okay, the fascist police. Bad Empanada has raised $8K in the first minute for his fundraiser for Palestine. How much? What? Other people's money? Yeah, well done. Okay, cool. I thought you didn't care about fucking giving aid to Palestinians. I thought weapons were more important. Change of tune. Okay. Well done. Listen, I'm gonna get other people to spend money for me and then brag about it. Soy. All right, bye-bye.
Example that's been making the rounds online.
They want him dead! Please end it, please!
Aside from the fact that those are the most
Squirrel.
obvious fake tears you've ever seen, I want you to think about the absurdity of this display.
Uh-oh.
Claiming to feel unsafe in your insular little university versus this.
مين بدك مين بدك؟ أمي مع أخويا. طيب أنت إيش؟ أخويا، أبو نسرة كمان هذا. طيب بدك مين مع مين؟ عند مين؟ عند مين؟
I mean, again, you can have problems in different parts of the world. It's not like there hasn't been a rise in anti-Semitic incidents in fucking the UK and the US, in Canada. What? Not to mention Islam. Does that mean if someone complains about Islamophobia, then imagine if you saw someone complaining about Islamophobia at like a pro-Israel protest in Canada, and then saying, "Oh, you think these are clearly fake tears? What about this?" And I just show a bunch of footage from October 7th. That would be so stupid. The fuck?
That's what unsafe looks like. You feel uncomfortable? Think about how uncomfortable it is to have no food or clean water, no shelter, no hygiene products, your family killed, the places you've been told will be safe purposefully targeted with bombing runs. Liberals have no right to cry crocodile tears and pretend to feel unsafe. Of course, they'll still do it, and
He's trying to be Norman Finkelstein now. Okay.
Sometimes it will work. There are very few weapons as dangerous as a white woman's tears, as minorities have learned the hard way throughout history. Enough pretend fear and they get what they want. In this case, the criminalizing of solidarity with the people currently being exterminated. I made a tweet the other day that said, "One thing that's been bothering me recently is that I have no power to make liberals care. I can say, I will never again speak to someone."
Yeah, because you're a hack propaganda shithead who tries to just quote snipe people like MLK and then twist their words to try and suit your cause. And you do it with fucking everything. Yeah, no wonder. With the voice of someone who's trying to sell fucking Bibles in an American suburb, who reviews fucking supercars in his spare time whilst being a communist. But you are very good at placating people who already agree with you, so that's good.
Someone who still supports Israel, but what good is that?
Radicalizing
the
teenagers,
hate and
I guess.
powerlessness I feel is something I haven't experienced before. I had one commenter respond with something I think is important to share. This is how colonized people have felt forever. Liberals act like they care, but they don't. They really, really don't. And their fake performative caring actually makes it way worse. At least right-wingers are honest. That's a great point. And it echoes what Malcolm X said half a century ago. Liberals are no better than conservatives. They're often even more bloodthirsty, as we've seen with their recent behavior. The only thing that separates a liberal servant of empire from a conservative one is that the liberal will lie through their teeth to make it seem like they're on your side. At least when a conservative says they want you dead, you can believe it and brace for impact. With a liberal, you have to be a lot more vigilant. Conservatives don't care if they have the moral high ground. They want what they want, and they don't care how you feel about it. A liberal...
Sorry, does anyone... someone give me a second thoughts tweet from October 7th? Can I get that? We've seen a million times of him saying there's no such thing as a civilian there. We've seen that. Does anyone have his tweet from October 7th? Right here. October 7th. What's going on in occupied Palestine is unprecedented. No doubt we'll have wall-to-wall coverage of, quote, atrocities now that it's the genocidal settlers on the receiving end. This is what a liberation struggle looks like. Solidarity and victory to the Palestinians. You wanted this, you fucking moron! You either are you're either retarded enough to think Hamas would have won, or you knew it was going to happen afterwards, and I guess it's worth it, right? It's worth it to see one day of Israeli suffering. Fuck me. He's so stupid. He's so stupid. It has to be, because if he's not stupid, he's fucking evil. Okay, whatever.
Will twist themselves into knots trying to convince you, and often themselves...
Genocidal settlers. What? Like what percentage of Israelis were born there? Is it like just under 80%? In 2020? Yeah, it's 78. And that's from 2020. Of the Jewish population, you're a genocidal settler, even if 87% of the Jewish population there is born there. What does that make you, Mr. America? Will it be quotation marks atrocities if a fucking Native American comes over to your place and fucking strips you and murders you and fucking parades your defiled corpse in a truck to a crowd of people cheering and spitting on you?
That they are the moral...
It's not like Native Americans aren't suffering now either. Not comparable. I know, because there's apparently a statute of limitations on how long you become a genocidal settler that never ends for one group, basically. Yeah, I know how your brain works, don't worry.
Arbiter of modern politics. Even the liberals who are critical...
Why is it not comparable? So what, if Israel just keeps on doing it for another, 100 years, then they'll be fine? Then it's okay? Regardless of how Palestinians are faring in that society?
Of Joe Biden and the wider West's enabling of this genocide often speak out in a way that ends up reinforcing belief in liberalism. Take the recent drama surrounding Jon Stewart. He said some common sense stuff about Biden and really pissed off the vote blue no matter who crowd. But his criticisms also really resonated with the masses of more casual liberals in the imperial core. His statements were intended to air the concerns of people starting to feel cognitive dissonance about their support of genocide, and then to steer them back into the fold of the Democratic Party. Yeah, Biden may be too old for the job, but we'll do better next time. The most important thing is keeping Trump out of the White House. Things would be so much worse under a Republican, believe me. Never mind, of course, that things are only this bad because Biden, liberal champion of peace and freedom, has personally refused to call off his attack dog, and has instead spent billions of dollars of your tax money to fund the massacre of tens of thousands of men, women, and children.
The imperial core is just when non-historically Soviet aligned states do it. That's all the imperial core is. Or apparently Islamic fundamentalist states.
Children whose only crime is trying to prevent the slow-rolling eradication of their people and their history. I could go on like this, or hell, I could just leave the video running and play the hundreds of hours of footage showing what Western liberals are enabling in Gaza. Children torn to pieces hanging from piles of rubble. A man so stricken with grief that he loses consciousness after being told his entire family has been killed. A beautiful little girl my daughter's age standing alone in the cold, waiting for parents who will never come back. But I know that footage will not soften the liberal heart. If they've made it this far and
well, apparently, because and I think he knows this, because none of the images of Israeli suffering did anything to him. He went on his little fucking shitty podcast and said that none of them were civilians. None of the kids, none of the parents, none of the foreigners who were there. None of the Palestinians who died on October 7th, because there were Palestinians with Israeli citizenship who died on October 7th as well. What did he say? He said, this is what liberation struggle looks like. That's what you said.
not change their mind, they are irredeemable, and I will not waste any more of my time trying to win over my enemy. And for those who think I'm being overly harsh...
What are you going to do then? What are you going to do? With the amount of popular support your ideology has in your country, what are you going to do? Because functionally, Second Thought is a liberal. He does not do anything outside of the liberal system, outside of what the liberal system permits. This guy's not breaking any laws. This guy's not doing any underground action. This guy's not doing, anything that his heroes did. He's not doing what people like Castro or Che Guevara or Lenin or even fucking Marx did, right? Like, he's not standing out of what's acceptable to liberal society. He's staying within it because it suits him. Capitalist realism does him very well. And actually, if he did get what he wanted, if he actually got a Soviet-style or like Marxist-Leninist uprising revolutionary, apparently an Islamic fundamentalist one, because we're okay with that one too, apparently. If any of those happened, this guy would probably not be safe. He'd probably get fucking executed by one of his own guys because of some like feigned, because of some perceived deviation from party discipline or whatever bullshit people got killed for. Like the fucking people who, like the guy who fled fucking Germany from the KPD who ended up in Russia and got killed for fucking, because he was friendly with Rosa Luxemburg, because Rosa Luxemburg wrote a pamphlet criticizing Lenin. That's probably the kind of shit that this guy would get done for. Or if just for some sort of stupid like bourgeois Western imperial core decadence. He'd probably get fucking drone striked for that, like before he even has a chance to run away in one of those fucking cringe supercars that he does reviews of. Like, fuck.
And that liberals are annoying, but not really all that dangerous, I'll cite just one more historical fact. Every time liberals have been given the choice between socialism and fascism, they have sided with fascism. And when I say they've sided with fascism, that's actually a little misleading. Yes,
yeah, it's very
normal liberals...
It's actually very misleading. The KPD did a lot more to help the Nazis than the fucking Social Democrats ever did. I'm sorry. People, they always point to the Spartacist uprising as if like that one example, which Rosa Luxemburg opposed. She wanted to stand for elections. They always point to the Spartacist uprising where the Social Democrats used the Freikorps to crush an attempted revolution. An attempted revolution from a group of people who had no popular support, who just decided one day that a month or two before an election, the first election in a newly formed democracy, that they could just seize the government by force. I guess they just assumed that the German military of the time would have been fine with that, or the German police would have let them do that. Of course they fucking wouldn't. What a stupid fucking idea. But apparently that's why Social Democrats gave way to fascism. But even then, what did the Social Democrats do like immediately after? They fought against fucking fascists in the Cat Putsch through the use of the unions. Hang on, what was we're doing the thing again. We're doing the quote. We'll never stop doing the quote of what the KPD said when the Nazis took power. It's from Richard Evans, by the way. Very good historian, very good historian. He was a Corbyn supporter. Even on 1st of April 1933, an appropriately symbolic date for such a proclamation. Actually, let's go further. Sorry. Let's go further. The party's constantly reiterated demands for a unity front with the Social Democrats stood no chance of becoming reality, since it was only willing to enter into it if the social fascists, as it called them, gave up all their political independence and, in effect, put themselves under Communist Party leadership. When they made this demand when they had less supporters than the Social Democrats. How fucking arrogant do you have to... Anyway, the party stuck rigidly to the doctrine that the Hitler government signaled a temporary triumph of big business and monopoly capitalism, and insisted that it heralded the imminent arrival of the German October. Even on the 1st of April 1933, an appropriately symbolic date for such a proclamation, the Executive Committee of the Comintern resolved: despite the fascist terror, the revolutionary upturn in Germany will inexorably grow. The masses' defense against fascism will inexorably grow. The establishment of an openly fascist dictatorship, which has shattered every democratic illusion in the masses and is liberating the masses from the influence of the Social Democrats, is accelerating the tempo of Germany's development towards a proletarian revolution. That's the German Communist Party of 1933. And throughout the 20s as well. Because they're the same as Second Thought. They believed that Social Democrats were their biggest enemy. And that's always been the case. That's why these guys don't bother to fight with right-wingers. That's why they never spend any time fighting with right-wingers. Their way of fighting with right-wingers is calling people who are as far left as it gets whilst being politically relevant and calling them right-wingers. That's what they do. That's their way of coping. But apparently, if he's done slamming liberals now, then okay, let's go for the conservatives then. Let's see it. I did it with Traveling Israel. Like, I went for conservatives on this issue. I've had like 3 or 4 debates with right-wing Israelis quite extensively since the beginning of this conflict, and plenty of them before. But these guys, they never do it. They don't care. They just don't. They have no interest in it. As late as June 33, the Central Committee of the German Communist Party was proclaiming that the Hitler government would soon collapse under the weight of its internal contradictions. To be followed immediately by the victory of Bolshevism in Germany. Communist inaction, therefore, was the product of communist overconfidence and the fatal illusion that the new situation posed no overwhelming threat to the party. Who is it that gives way to fascism again? You fucking morons. All right.
The individuals will always pick a...
What's really sad is that... Do you recommend any pro-Palestine creators who are not tankies? Yeah, Beast Process is really, really good for that. He's also just like a million times more informed than any of these dipshits as well. Like, he actually knows the facts of the situation whilst also being quite pro-Palestinian, yeah.
Well-dressed white fascist over a scary urban communist. But liberals as a political organism don't really choose to side with fascism as much as they devolve into it. Fascism is rooted in the same Western mythology as liberalism. Whereas in times of peace and prosperity, liberalism has all the frills and niceties normal people would expect from a first world country. As soon as the economic base falters, as soon as the lines start to go down, the mask comes off. It's often said that fascism is capitalism in decay. And if there's one thing we've seen with the United States since the Reagan years, it's that capitalism is on the decline. There's a reason we're always at war, why our civil liberties are being curtailed under conservative and liberal leaders alike, why Joe Biden is holding twice as many immigrants in cages as Trump was at the end of his term, why we're backing Israel to the very last Palestinian.
Is he doing that's a Republican talking point. The more kids in cages. What that means is that the number of border crossings after Trump went up because COVID ended and because there were hurricanes in fucking Honduras and shit. And then the number of people coming like increased, and then they were held in centers to process them. That's what they mean by kids in cages. The complaint against Trump was never kids being held in migrant detention centers. It was the fact that they were being separated by their parents under Trump, which Biden stopped and actually even started moving to reunite those kids with their families. But okay, yeah.
When capital has to circle the wagons to maintain its dominance, its rhetoric and actions start to look a lot like fascism.
And also, those kids are reunited with their families now, no thanks to fucking dipshits like you who don't vote. So yeah, okay.
The reason for this is simple. Fascism is seen as a solution to an economic problem, just as socialism is. But the difference is that fascism does not threaten the primacy of capital, or the comfortable position of the white liberal. Economic hardship creates conditions where bitterness, distrust, and desperation can thrive, making the masses...
Also, this guy doesn't understand as well. Like, social democrats were, and like liberal-leaning people were murdered by Nazis as well. At the same time, it's not like the Nazis had like a special thing. The communists were easier targets because they didn't have as much political protection or union protection. But
bastard.
No, the Nazis went after social democrats who you consider liberal as well. I wonder if I can find. Do you know also the sad thing about this is if you want to say this, then you would also have to own the idea. I need to find the thing if people don't believe me. Because if you're going to say that liberals are the ones who give way to fascism, like it's their fault. Yeah, there's another part of this book that goes more into it, but most of the German Jews in the 1920s voted liberal. That was where they gravitated. They didn't vote communist. So, what's the implication there? If you're going to say it about liberals, then say it about German Jews.
An easy target for charismatic and bombastic fascists. I'll end with a gentle warning for new socialists, people who understand that imperialism is wrong, but who may still harbor some liberal ideology from their upbringing. There's this pervasive belief that if you just show people enough data that something is bad, we'll reach a critical mass of collective outrage and then suddenly, through legal and government-approved means, we'll be able to stop the bad thing. That's just not how the real world works. That's become abundantly clear in the last 5 months. Bit by bit, our rights to protest, to assemble, to speak out, are being taken away. The Palestinian people have tried peaceful protest for years. They've tried appealing to international bodies. They've tried everything.
I feel like even this is insulting to Palestine. Like, at what point was there a concerted effort of non-violence from Palestinians? I wouldn't even say they should. They're in a situation where violence in some situations makes sense. Not October 7th violence, because that was fucking ridiculous. Like, there's nothing positive came out of that. Where is this attitude coming from? Because until 1988, the PLO position was destroy Israel, basically. And they were perfectly fine with targeting civilians to do that, whether it was attacking civilian buses in Israel, whether it was plane hijackings, whether it was like the Fedayeen attacks. And even during the Oslo period, when Arafat was renouncing terrorism, there were still terror attacks from within Fatah and from especially from Hamas at the time. And Arafat would condemn some of the terror attacks, not all of them. That was his big failure in the Oslo period, was his failure to meet the terms of containing terrorist action. And then after that, 2005 onwards, where exactly is this long-standing non-violent effort from Palestinians? I'm not even saying that's what they need to do. It's just a lie. The best example is probably the March of Return, which was one protest period that lasted for a month or two. And even then, unfortunately, there were people at the front of those protests who were literally there with fucking guns and incendiary balloons and Molotov cocktails and kites and fucking trying to break through the border fence. And unfortunately, a lot of the peaceful protesters paid the price for it because, the IDF are pieces of shit when it comes to reacting to that stuff. But I don't know why they would... Fuck.
They are well within their rights to resist their executioners by whatever means they deem appropriate.
Oh.
No amount of liberal hand-wringing and phony moral objections will change.
Including, as the UN themselves have said, across multiple communities, leaving the corpses of women partially or fully stripped and bound. That's also one of the any means, because even the UN report, where is it? Yeah, here. Because even the UN report found that in at least 5 different locations. Yeah, well.
Change that fact.
You don't get freedom peacefully. Freedom is never safeguarded peacefully. Anyone who is depriving you of freedom isn't deserving of a peaceful...
I'm trying to imagine second thought looking around for MLK quotes to try and get something that backed this up and just not finding them and just being like, oh, well, whoa. Turns out he's actually very different from how I portrayed him throughout this video. So we'll just go Malcolm X instead, you know? The guy who contributed a fraction of what MLK did to the civil rights movement, the guy who did not lead mass movements and mass protests during the civil rights movement, the guy who confined his behavior to fucking around with the Nation of Islam, being anti-Semitic and shitposting, like occasionally doing speeches. It's funny, I'm just trying to imagine him looking around for Martin Luther King clips and just being really disappointed and then just giving up and going with the Malcolm X ones instead. I'm trying to think, where's the MLK one?
60 minutes.
This one, is it, yeah?
Now what I'm saying is this. I would like for all...
By the way, Lorna doesn't even live in America, yet he wants to talk about Malcolm X's impact. By the way, 99% of these people talking about Palestine don't come from Palestine, you fucking retard. What an unbelievably brain-dead fucking objection to the things I'm saying. What the fuck is wrong with you? Where are you from, Dale? I hope you've never said anything ever about any other country with any level of confidence. Fuck me. What are we going to now? What is it, like this, the fucking, oh, did you see it for yourself? Fuck me. God. All right.
All of us to believe in nonviolence, but I'm here to say tonight that if every Negro in the United States turns against nonviolence, I'm going to stand up as a lone voice and say this is the wrong way.
He probably just saw those clips and he was like, oh shit, oh no.
I will never change in my basic idea that nonviolence is the most potent weapon available to the Negro in his struggle for freedom and justice. I think for the Negro to turn to violence would be both impractical and immoral.
There is an increasingly
approach by the ones who are being deprived of their freedom.
A few times in the last couple of years, I found myself thinking, surely not these liberals. Surely this friend or this educated person or this family member will be different. And they disappoint every single time. At some point, all decent people have to realize that liberals are as much the enemy as conservatives. They may weaponize inclusive language, they may try to trick you into thinking they care, but it's a lie. The Western liberal position on Palestine should be the final...
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for making my job so much easier, because the only thing this guy does that makes my job a little bit more difficult is taking people who are maybe just getting into left-leaning politics and then they're maybe just a bit young and they're a bit suggestible, and then they find this guy's fucking like videos and this guy's propaganda work, because that's all it is. It's propaganda. And then getting sucked into that, and it's like, oh god, there's one less person to keep fucking conservatives out of power. There's one less person to actually push through policies that actually have pretty substantive impacts on people's lives, like stopping the drone war, which Biden did, like bringing in free breakfast for school kids, which Joe Biden did, like, or getting rid of ghost or mystery charges on credit card things and airline costs and things like that, or getting rid of the extortionate fucking credit card late fees and overdraft fees. And oh god, that's actually quite sad that there's one less person in the world who's going to contribute to actually making people's lives better and just falling down this fucking vortex of bullshit. But the fact that he's giving up on that now because he's decided that liberals are just the same as conservatives. Oh, that's good. That's good. What are you going to do then? What are you going to do the rest of your life? He's going to make a video about how much he hates liberals in like a month, by the way, because this guy is just he's a content mill. And that's the fucking propaganda way. Which just incidentally is also one of the most monetizable ways, you know? Cornel West. Yeah. Well.
Nail in the coffin of liberal legitimacy. And I know it's not my job to call people out like this. I know my role is to be inclusive and offer a charitable on-ramp into socialist ideas. Sometimes you just have to tell it like it is.
Wow.
Malcolm X was right. Liberals are the most dangerous thing in the Western Hemisphere.
Bro.
I mentioned at the beginning...
Have you met Trump and the Republicans? Have you seen what they tried to do? God, if this guy ends up in a fucking country where if Trump wins and somehow succeeds in his next attempt and that just happens to be the last free election Americans have, oh God. I mean, this guy won't pay the price for it. He'll just pay less taxes, but oh God. As we start to see abortion rights getting ripped away, as it will do much further under Trump, as we start to see immigrations being treated progressively worse under Trump, if we start to see fucking like trans rights getting rolled back, fuck, and this guy, like, oh God, this guy will blame the liberals. This guy will blame the liberals. Or he'll be like, at least people are disillusioned by liberals, and now we can bring out socialism. Fuck me.
Beginning of the episode that my content is only possible thanks to my patrons on Patreon.
Okay. Oh, what an absolutely despicable cunt. All right, cool. That was fun. Drama time? What drama? I have no drama. We're above drama in this community. True. I do have a bunch of things to read, though, don't I? You guys were quite generous through that. Cardinals 100, thanks for the $2. Second thought, everyone claims him, but now I will. Pillow Steam, thanks for the £5. What books/essays would you recommend to understand the civil rights movement? I read quite a few essays about that. Let me see. The Birmingham jail. If you read some of the letters that him and Malcolm X both wrote, they're both good. What were some of the ones that I really liked? Let's see. They're over here somewhere. I think this one was good. Not the Jacobin article. That one was shit. This one was really good. It was also the most generous one towards Malcolm X as well. Oh, the Sci-Hub links aren't going to work because of... Okay, get your little notepad ready. I'm going to tell you the ones that I think are good. Fuck me. I'll just give you the titles and you can find them, okay? Because some of these are probably... There's also the reference list in my... There's the reference list in my video. It's all there as well. But the one that I thought was one of the best ones was this one here. Violence and or Nonviolence in the Success of the Civil Rights Movement. The Malcolm X Martin Luther King Jr. Nexus by August H. Nintz. That was a really good one. The Ballot and the Bullet, a comparative analysis of armed resistance to the Civil Rights Movement. That was a good one as well. The Civil Rights Movement and the Right to Vote, Black Protest, Segregation as Violence, and the Audience. This was a really, really good one about the kind of optics pilling shit. Oh, I can just share it on Discord, actually. Fuck it. I'll just give you the link to this. Anyone with the link? Viewer. Done. There you go. There's my reference. It's also my video, though. You can also get it on my video. Copy link. Here you go. Who is that? No, I don't want to talk right now. Fuck. I need to read donos. Shit. Eelmaster with the $1.99. Can we get a video essay on this fraud, please? Maybe. I don't know. Reactions are fine. I've got it done it. Maruzzi, thanks for the $5. Now, if you really want to help GA Zans, watch me test drive this Bugatti. Okay. Nice one. Swan Star, thanks for the £5. Israel's war is a revolution against counter-revolutionary religious fundamentalism. Interesting. Pancaking on, thanks for the £2. This is refreshing. Take my money. Oh, cool. Okay. What do we do next? JT is not worth an essay? No, he's really not. He blocks everyone very reflexively. I think he's quite sensitive. Have you seen the authoritarianism video? I don't want to keep watching. Fuck, leave me alone. Daniel Hughes, thanks for the gifted sub. I really appreciate that. Soy. What are people crying about in chat? Am I going to do a video essay about all the crazy No, I don't care. No, stop. Leave me alone. Konos X, thanks for the €5. Is there a chance to get a debate between Beast Process and Destiny, or get him on the trip to Israel as the pro-Palestine person? I don't know. I don't know if that thing's happening. Okay, there are a lot of logistical issues with doing that. And I have a feeling that Beast Process wouldn't want to do that. Anyway. When are you going to buy land in the West Bank? Shut up! Hmm. What is this?
Loner box.
Oh,
You smarmy
thanks for the
cuck bastard.
What is this? Plagiarism and the death of the video essay. Do I want to watch this? Or is there other interesting things to look at today? Got to review this live. What is this? Winning a debate with an Israel hater. Is this a book? It's a fucking book. Leave me alone. What the fuck? Why am I going to read that? What the fuck is this? Whoa, not that. Whoa. I know the debate's dropping tomorrow with a 6-hour blaster. Wait, hang on.
Remember a
Hmm. All right.
a few months ago when everyone on YouTube was talking about plagiarism? Well, I have not stopped thinking about that. Now,
I don't get how Hassan fans watch Loner. Hassan's got a pretty broad church. It's just his Discord and his regular chatters who are quite mental, and his mods. And probably most of no, I don't know.
I know what you're thinking. Oh great, another video just riding the trend of H-Bomber Guy's plagiarism video. I'm sure that there's already people complaining in the comments. But I ask very politely that you hold your horses. Cause listen, I am just as tired of all of those videos as you are. That's actually part of why I'm making this video. Because maybe the fact that this plagiarism stuff really took the internet by storm says something interesting. And if the phrase H-Bomber Guy plagiarism video makes no sense to you, don't worry. The winter of
By the way, I think people are talking about the broad church Hassan. I'm pretty sure he has that because he even told those guys in the deprogram once that he moderates his positions slightly for the stream and for the public so that he can like be the early stage of the pipeline. I think he's even said that, so it wouldn't surprise me that he has some mental people and some more normal people in his audience, right? Would be quite normal.
2023 to 2024 was a flurry of various plagiarism stories, both on and off the internet. But I won't be focusing too much on any of those particular stories because I'm not interested in investigating and calling out specific plagiarists. Though, in the process of making this video, I did find a pretty egregious case of plagiarism, which I do bring up later on. What I am interested in looking at is how we talk about plagiarism, both in academia and in society at large. The past few months have proven that we love talking about plagiarism, especially on the internet. But what does that say about us? What causes people to plagiarize, and what should we do about it? And as more and more cases of plagiarism are brought to light, is it time to stop putting our trust in others? Well, let's find out. Before we can discuss plagiarism on YouTube, we first need to understand the context in which plagiarism occurs. Over the past decade, YouTube has become a platform not just for silly cat videos and gaming Let's Plays. There has been an ever-growing community of creators who make educational content, like yours truly. And it's within this academic context that plagiarism has the highest stakes. But as the number of educational content creators has grown, it's become harder and harder to figure out who is worth watching. So how do you decide which content creators you should watch? And more importantly...
Are you going to check out the Finkelstein review of the UN rape review? Oh, God. Should I watch that instead of this? This is too I feel like I can't watch content like this anymore. It's too nice. It's too pleasant. I don't know why I find it difficult to watch this shit anymore. Fuck me. Do you guys have the same glasses? What, the same shape? But no, they're not the same glasses at all. The legs of mine have this little like honeycomb thing going on. Her ones are wider along here. I think my ones are slightly more circular than her. Yeah, there's a few differences. I did also say short stream, but I'm actually, now I'm here. I'm kind of chill and I don't want to leave just yet. Whoa.
Who you should trust. One of the best indicators of a creator's quality is their subscriber count. A channel's size is a good litmus test for how good their work is. It's not a perfect indicator by any means, but it is a good rule of thumb. Researchers at Friedman University actually evaluated the quality of research and writing of more than 100 educational YouTube channels whose subscriber counts ranged from just over 200 to almost 2 million. And they found that there was a statistically significant correlation between a channel's academic merit and its size. And this makes sense, right? Viewers are drawn to quality, so the better someone's content is, the more swiftly it will sift to the top of the algorithmic pile. And if a creator breaks that trust by, for instance, plagiarizing or outright lying, their subscriber numbers plummet. But channel size and quality are also correlated in part because of money. According to an article in Applied Consumer Digest, the higher your subscriber count, the higher your income, to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for channels with 500,000 subscribers or more. And a higher income tends to mean higher quality content. As creators make more money, they are less beholden to the—
What is this?
I'd like to welcome you to the most dangerous speech to democracy in the world.
CPAC 2024, where globalism goes to die.
It feels like I'm the only one here not running for vice president. They'd much rather see Biden as president. And I agree with them.
Turn off the cameras now. I'm going to talk about machines.
The current president, Joe Biden, is
allegedly
putting our heads in the gas stove because that implies suicide.
I hate to be partisan.
Cut the nads off the campaign.
Don't misgender the campaign.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Oh my God! Don't misgender the campaign.
It's no surprise to me that
so
Mike
funny.
Pence is against populism. He was never particularly popular.
The possibility that they parachute in Michelle Obama.
A lot of these people are going to go to jail when Donald Trump gets elected.
The achievement is graduating from Harvard and staying a conservative.
They say that we're racist.
What you talking about, Fannie Willis?
If I could just punch Joe Biden, I would do it.
Why are you ruining catfights for us? Well, what about Hillary? I mean,
oh my God.
I just want our military to be G.I. Joe again.
Because if you come, like you just talked about, to our house, you better bring a coroner with you.
Does Congress even matter?
My father is criminally charged for passing by a whale on a jet ski.
Obama must be prosecuted. Revenge, that's what I want.
When you see the little D on the ballot, that's the Diablo.
Like, I go to the polling place and vote for myself, and I win the minority vote. Biden wants to take over.
And hell hath no fury like a gay man scorned by the Democrat Party.
Joe Biden can call us birthing people and chest feeders all he wants.
Woke doctors
Cancel the Bible.
Wokenized.
Wokeism, transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism, globalism, Zelenskyism.
Media, I want you to suck on this.
Vivek should have had a better chance. You know, I feel like if Trump got replaced with Vivek, that would have been quite. There could have been something going on there. You know, that would have been a good campaign. Vivek against Biden, the fresh thing on the menu versus Biden. Damn.
Got a #1 alpha man in Donald J. Trump.
He did get ripped to pieces in the GOP debate, yeah. With Chris Christie saying he sounded like ChatGPT. Oh, God. Has there not been any Piers Morgan content lately?
At the age of
loner boxism, make them like the stream. Oh yeah, like the stream, chat. Doesn't cost you anything. Like the stream, yeah. Oh, I never watched this. I never watched Dershowitz and okay, Barghouti.
If I was in Israel, I would end the occupation. I would end the siege. I was saying I'm committed to Palestinian dignity. I'm committed to Palestinian equality. And we Palestinians and Israelis, we Jews and Palestinians, we're going to learn how to live together in the context of equality and dignity. We're going to have Jewish safety. We're going to have Jewish security. That's the very end and aim of Israel. We'll never see an annihilation of Jews. We'll never see another massacre or Holocaust of Jews. But we'll never see annihilation and massacre and vicious attacks on Palestinians either. That's what I would do.
Well, on that,
not just as head of Israel. That's what I'll do in the White House, brother. That's what I'll do in the White House. And I'll explain to American people why it is that Biden Harris and others continue to enable this genocide. And then when they finally say ceasefire, they act like we ought to give them a moral prize or something after 30,000 precious people have already been killed.
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot that you say that I agree with, just to be clear, okay?
No, I hear you. I hear you.
Okay. I just want to read you what Ben Shapiro said about your tweet, though, about Aaron Bushnell. He said, our political environment is facilitating dangerous insanity. It is easy enough for people like Cornel West to celebrate the pseudo-heroism of disturbed people lighting themselves on fire, but both the mentally disturbed and our society pay the price for such celebration. I mean, he has a point, doesn't he? You wouldn't want other people to go and set fire to themselves and kill themselves like he did, would you?
Brother, I have deep libertarian sensibilities. I believe that people make choices and they have to take responsibilities. They make decisions, they have to deal with the consequences. I do not promote people killing themselves, not at all. But people do a number of different things. I would want to ask Brother Shapiro. He's talking about there's heroes in the Israeli Defense Forces, many of whom are killing innocent children. Do I think that's sick? Yes, that is morally bankrupt. It is spiritually empty. It is ethically vacuous. I come right back at Shapiro. Your heroes happen to be engaged in terrorist activity against Palestinians. And he's going to say, Aaron's not a hero. Aaron is a particular person who exercised a certain kind of witness and ended up taking the form of killing himself in order not to bring attention to himself, but to try to give some sense of urgency for a genocide.
Do you believe Aaron Bushnell?
That's what Brother Shapiro doesn't want to focus on.
Do you believe
Shapiro still wants to hide his indifference to the suffering of Palestinians in the form of attacking
Okay, let me ask you.
How coward.
What is this? Arabic poetry. Oh yeah, I bookmarked this yesterday. Forgot about that. She has an ass below a slender waist that oppresses us both. It tortures me when I think about it and tires her when she moves to stand up. From the year 972 AD. Damn. It's so expressive. Oppresses us both, bro. Arabic WAP. That's good. Oh yeah, that was the. Is this in Nara? Is it Nara where their deer just kind of run around and no one does anything to them?
What can you get, my brother?
Do you believe that Aaron Bushnell is a martyr?
Well, martyr and witness really have the same root, as you know, in the Greek. And martyr means someone who pays an ultimate cost tied to a higher cause. I believe trying to bring attention to genocide and bring genocide to a close is a higher cause. And I believe that his actions was trying to bring attention to that higher cause. So yes, he is a martyr. Absolutely.
Hey,
Dr. West, always good to talk to you on Uncensored. Thank you very much.
It's always a blessing. Stay strong, my brother.
Well, joining me now to debate all this is legal scholar and author of War Against the Jews, Professor Alan Dershowitz, and the leader of the Palestinian National Initiative, Mustafa Barghouti.
Why do they look? Why do they look the same?
Alan Dershowitz, your response there to
they don't look that similar, but they look kind of okay.
Dr. West, in particular, his categorization of Aaron Bushnell as a martyr for setting
Mustafa's
himself on
got better
fire
hair.
and taking his own life in protest of what he said was the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza.
If anybody is going to be a martyr, they should take their lives in protest of Hamas using precious children as human shields, using a child as a human shield, putting a child, a hospital, a school, a mosque.
Pro-Israeli like advocacy is so fucking bad. It's so predictable, and it just sounds so like you can surely. Make the argument a little bit more fucking human. It's like, yeah, just NPC, yeah, chat GPT fucking debate bro response.
Over Hamas fighters and tunnels and other weapons that are used to kill precious Jewish children is the major reason why so many civilians, particularly so many children and women, have been killed. By the way, there is a lower ratio.
Palestine has has good propaganda, but they have bad leaders. They don't have effective leaders. Israel has effective leaders, generally. Not always. But very bad propaganda. That's usually how it goes.
Ratio of civilians to combatants that have been killed in Gaza than in any modern warfare, according to even the Hamas statistics. And if you compare them to the number of combatants who have been killed, the ratio is approximately 1.5 to 1, which is much lower than the 3 or 4 to 1.
The problem with that analogy is that when you actually get into the statistics, and let's accept this is the Palestinian Health Authority, it's Hamas run, but the numbers have not been challenged as being wildly inaccurate by any other body. But
I'm accepting them for the moment.
So more children have been killed as a percentage of civilian deaths than any other type of conflict of this nature in modern times. And the reason for that is that Gaza has 2 million people, of which 1 million, just over half, are under 18. So it's become de facto a slaughter of children. That's the problem.
Well, remember that Gaza, that Hamas, counts anybody under 19 as a child. Hamas recruits children between the ages of 13 and 19 to be terrorists. So
you
many
can't buy a beer.
Women,
Alan, you can't buy a beer in many American states if you're under 21. So the definition of what is a child, I mean...
But a 19-year-old is not a child.
You know what I learned recently? Yeah, people keep saying it was only 36 kids who died in Israel. On 27th. Even that's actually not true. It's the way they count these numbers is so strange. What we've got here is this 36 number comes from people aged 10 to 19. But outside of that, you had 12 other children under the age of 10 and 2 infants. So it was actually what, 14 plus, it's actually 50. If we're saying kids are everyone 19 and under, that's 50, but and if we do it the pro-Palestinian way, where we just say everyone under 19 is like a child or a baby or a fucking toddler or or just say minor, so it's 50 children. So even the 40 babies killed wasn't even that accurate. It's actually closer to 50 if you're going to stretch the meaning of the word. No, the 36 number was children. But you'll sometimes see people use the number of under 19s killed in Gaza, and they'll just say babies, because people call their fucking kids their babies when they're fucking 18. But yeah, I don't know why they got the numbers like this. Why the fuck did they categorize it? And 25 elderly, you're only elderly as soon as you go over 80. What the fuck? I guess you have to draw it somewhere, but okay.
A 19-year-old with a gun pointed at an Israeli who was shot is not a child. A woman who was throwing a bomb at Israelis is not a child. Remember, too, that my dear friend Cornell also said that the terrorism by Israel started in
In Scotland, 80 is newsworthy. Shut up.
1948. In 1948, Israel was prepared to accept the two-state solution in a tiny little state, and they were attacked by all the Arab armies, and they fought in self-defense. But Cornel West revealed his bias against Israel by suggesting that Israel's terrorism began when it fought for its own independence. And essentially, he's calling for the end of Israel if he's saying that its illegitimacy started in 1948. And you know, the idea that Israel is committing genocide when it has actually done everything in its power to minimize
before or after. Well, the problem is that people make the argument that the ethnic cleansing started before the Arab armies invaded, which is true, but that doesn't mean there weren't Arab irregulars all the way throughout the country. It doesn't mean war wasn't inevitable. It doesn't mean there wasn't a civil war happening, but okay.
Civilian.
And the fucking the whole fight over Jerusalem was happening before the Arab armies invaded as well.
Casualties in the face of Hamas doing everything in its power to maximize civilian casualties. Israel should do more, and the United States should pressure Israel to do more. And Israel has done more. The number of civilians killed in the last month is far less than in previous months because Israel is now in a position where it can take more refined action, more specific actions. Their criticism is valid, but calling Israel genocide, a word coined to describe the murder of 6 million innocent Jews in gas chambers, is a form of Holocaust denial. And it's an absolute disgrace to use that term, genocide, against a country that's simply trying to defend itself from a recurrence of October 7th. What Israel is doing is what America has done, what Great Britain has done, what France has done, but only Israel is called genocide.
Okay, let me just play a clip before I come to you, Mustafa Barghouti. A clip from Kamala Harris, Vice President of the United States. This was overnight.
Given the immense scale of suffering in Gaza, there must be an immediate ceasefire. For at least the next 6 weeks, which is what is currently on the table.
So, Mustafa Barghouti, we'll come to what she said there about a call for a ceasefire, but in response to Alan Dershowitz.
This 6-week ceasefire, didn't Netanyahu go against it as well? Basically accepted by that's Yahoo News. I don't want that. Fuck. US says Israel more or less accepts it. This is Al Jazeera, so okay, there's 2 people now. More or less accepts the ceasefire, awaits Hamas response. 6-week truce. It's a framework deal. The ball's in the camp of Hamas. Release of captives considered vulnerable. 6-week ceasefire. Release the vulnerable captives. It was not clear if Hamas will accept. They want a full and permanent ceasefire, complete withdrawal. When they say permanent ceasefire, do they mean that Hamas is just never going to fight with Israel again? Like, okay. This was, how long ago was this, though? Seven days ago. 4 hours ago? What do we got here? 3 days. Netanyahu says Biden is wrong. Okay. The pressure has been growing on them to agree to a ceasefire before Ramadan. This didn't happen, did it? because they gave until the 10th. I'm guessing. So yeah, and Israel's going to go into Rafah, I guess. Israel will resist pressure to go into. Yeah, they're going to push on with Rafah. Will this mention the ceasefire as well? The head of the United Nations called for ceasefire in Gaza, removal of all obstacles to ensure aid deliveries. Ceasefire talks have stalled. Yeah, well. Very sad. Very, very sad.
There's a real debate raging about whether what is happening in Gaza constitutes genocide. What is your view?
Well, I am not surprised at all, Mr. Morgan, that Mr. Dershowitz, your guest, is defending the murderous Israeli army. Because he's famous for defending murderers in American courts.
Oh,
I think
no.
He's used to that.
Uh-oh.
He's even famous for defending sex traffickers like Epstein. And of course he will defend those who are committing genocide.
Get to the point instead of
How
having
could
ad
you
hominems
not
about
look
Come on, Mustafa. Lawyers are allowed to everyone's entitled to a defense. Come on. Oh, don't let these fucking ad homs. Just get to the debate. Fuck me.
Let me
Mr. Barghouti, I have to say,
let me answer.
Lawyers defend people who they often may personally have serious issues with. There's nothing unusual
Pierce
about
loves it. Pierce loves it when he gets to be the moderate voice in the room. He's like, no. It's ridiculous to assume that just because one, as a lawyer, defends otherwise unsavory figures. Come on. Pierce is so happy right now. He's gooning underneath that fucking desk.
I've defended Palestinians. I've defended terrorists. I have defended people from Hamas. I've defended,
Yeah, well, you can finish, but if you're going to go at him, if you're going to attack him for defending bad people, we're going to be here all night. So stick to
Dylan Burns.
I would even defend you. I would defend your right to make the lies that you've said.
If you don't want me to speak, can you shut up so that I can speak?
To be fair, Alan should let him speak.
Please. I want to say that what you see in Gaza now is an act of genocide because 12,000 children have been killed. And these are not 19 years old. These are 5, 6 years old, and 3 years old, and 2 years old. These are children, for God's sake. I am against the killing of 30 Israeli children, which happened on the 7th of October, because they are children and civilians. But nothing in the world could justify, because of the killing of 30 children, the killing of 12,000 other Palestinian children. That is unacceptable. You should look at the real figures. 30,000 Palestinian civilians have been killed, and 72,000 people have been injured by the Israeli.
Even Hamas doesn't say it's 30,000 civilians. Hamas said 6,000 of them were their own fires. Other estimates have said it's more than 10,000, but... Whew.
30,000 altogether.
This is 4.5% of the population. Hold on. I did not interrupt you, so shut up and let me finish. 4.5% of the population of Gaza have been killed or injured. If that had happened in the United States of America, you would be talking about 12 million people killed or injured in 4 months of time.
Ooh,
is that acceptable?
Stats, bro.
And mostly civilians. 70% are civilians. More than that, Israel is killing Palestinians not only with this terrible genocide with their bombardment, they are killing Palestinians with starvation. This terrible siege, 50,000 pregnant women, Palestinian women, don't find a place to give birth in. 64,000 breastfeeding women cannot help their babies. And more than that, 700,000 people are now starving because Israel is preventing milk, flour, food to the population of Gaza City and the north of Gaza. And more than that, they shoot the Palestinian hungry people when they are trying to get some food.
Okay, Mr.
They shoot
Barghouti,
them
let me
and
ask
kill
you...
them like they did 2 days ago.
Mr. Barghouti,
by
let me
killing
ask you a question.
100 people and 860 others were injured. So my response to you, yes, this is genocide. These are 3 war crimes happening at the same time. Genocide, collective punishment, and ethnic cleansing. At the same time, 70% of all homes were destroyed. All universities were destroyed. 30 hospitals out of 36 hospitals were destroyed. 347 of my colleagues, medical doctors,
Mr. Barghouti, let me just ask Alan Dershowitz. Let me just ask you this.
What is that if it is not genocide?
Alan Dershowitz, you can respond, but I want you also, Alan, just quickly, I want to also mention again Kamala Harris calling for a 6-week.
Man, Loner, I assume you're taking Dersh's side here. No. I don't really know if I'm taking any side in these these. I'm probably on Pierce's side. God damn it! The problem with Dershowitz is like he just doesn't seem to. You can't just go into these debates and just deflect about all the fucking suffering and be like, well, if only Hamas had not been like, it doesn't really. It's so bad. It just makes you look like a fucking asshole, and it's not even actually a very good way to approach the discussion either. There's no attempt to reach over, and obviously with Mustafa, he's just getting all his fucking numbers from the like. Al Jazeera infographics or whatever the fuck, and they're like half of them are bullshit as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, but again, like as for like a political figure, Mustafa Barghouti is probably like as good as it comes for Palestinian like political leaders, right? He's been a non-violent preacher like his entire life. He is still committed to like a peaceful and just resolution that can be agreed upon with the Israelis. I think he came second in the PA presidential election after Abbas, a pretty big gap in 2005. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I would vote for Mustafa. I wouldn't not vote if I had the chance if I was in Palestine. But
ceasefire. This is what is being negotiated. But Hamas can't even apparently say where the remaining hostages are, which seems to be a massive barrier to any potential deal here. So, first of all, your reaction to that, and then respond to Mr. Barghouti.
Well, I think the deal is on the table. Israel has accepted it. The Hamas has refused to give the names of the hostages, and if they would give the names...
If this is the best Palestinians we have, then we're never getting a resolution to the conflict. Why is that the case? I don't actually know if it's going to matter in a negotiation if the Palestinian guy has like bad figures and bad statistical understanding of the war on the Gaza Strip. Like, I don't think that's going to be a big, as long as he's willing to like come to an agreement on the borders, the refugees, territory, security in Jerusalem and the Temple Mount, then that's what you need from him, right? Like, you don't really need the rest of his like patter for that to be effective. The fact that you think because of how Barghouti is approaching this discussion that there can never be peace actually speaks to an issue with you. The problem is that for Israelis and Palestinians to reach a solution that is both peaceful and just and considerate of what, at least somewhat, of what the two sides want, then it's going to need to be a case where two people with radically different worldviews and radically different understandings of the history, of culture, and everything else are going to need to come to some kind of understanding. Like, unless it's because it's either that or it's they fight until one group wipes the other one off the face of the earth. And in that case, it's Palestinians who get wiped off the face of the earth because it's not happening to Israel, right? Mustafa isn't the number one guy. Marwan is, and they're from the same. Marwan's in jail, okay? If he comes out and he runs, then yeah, sure, because he's like a million times more popular than Mustafa. But Marwan's in jail, and he's in jail actually because he made a fairly bad decision to champion the Second Intifada whilst negotiations were supposed to be happening. Because it turns out that actually was a pretty bad decision.
Names of the hostages, we could have a deal. I want to ask Mr. Barghouti if he wants to talk about another war crime. Are you prepared now to condemn Hamas for using children as human shields, for using women as human shields? Are you prepared now to condemn that war crime?
This is a lie.
They don't. You deny
it's a lie. It's
everybody in the world is wrong.
They don't hide behind
it's
children.
It's not true. They don't use any human shields.
It's a lie. You are repeating. I don't. You ask me, I will answer you. You don't want me to answer your question?
It's a lie. There's no human shield. They never use the human shield, ever, huh?
No, it's a lie because it is, let me answer. It is an Israeli propaganda. And if you look carefully, and you are a famous and well-known lawyer, I don't doubt that. But I want you to look at the facts. For me, Anna Frank, the little Jewish child who was killed by Nazis, is not different from Hind Rajab, who is a Palestinian child, 6 years old, who was stuck in a car with 6 of her family members killed by the Israeli tanks, screaming and asking for help. And instead of helping her, they bombarded the ambulance that came to help her and
You're
killed
not answering
her.
the question. Do they use human shields
Anna
or not?
Frank and Hind
Do they
Rajab
use human
are the
shields?
same. No. What human shields?
So the problem with the term human shields is I think people just have a different image in their head every time it comes up. But it's like, there's no way he's denying that they use civilian infrastructure, or that they hide weapons in schools, or that they launch attacks from schools, and that they have tunnels underneath hospitals. That, like, even Amnesty, of all people, in 2014 during Protective Edge, were literally saying that Hamas used Al-Shifa Hospital to torture their opponents within the grounds. That they abducted people, beat them, tortured them with fucking hoses or wire in stress positions, and interrogated them within Al-Shifa. We know that Hamas does this. They've done this for a long time. But, you know.
She was in a car surrounded by tanks.
I'm not talking about
and the
her.
Israelis killed
I'm
her.
talking about
For me, she's a victim
thousands of children
of same Nazi behavior
I'm not
that
disputing
killed
that.
Anna
You're
Frank.
changing the
You
subject.
should start to see
You're
us.
changing the subject.
No.
Mr.
See us
Barghouti,
as
okay, let me ask a question. Mr. Barghouti, let me ask you a question. Mr. Barghouti, you say that the Hamas never used civilians as human shields. In which case, why do they build this labyrinth of tunnels around schools and hospitals and all the places where civilians are going to be? Why would they do that?
No, the question is not like that. The
But that's
question
my
is
question.
why Israel continued
That's
to
my
put
question.
Gaza.
That's
which is
my
only,
question.
Wait. Gaza is only, wait a minute. Gaza is 140 square miles with 2.3 million people. Where should people go?
Why do
Gaza
they build?
was
Why
besieged
does,
for
no, hang on,
17
you're
years.
avoiding my question.
Besides
why
the
does
fact
Hamas,
that it was
why does
occupied for such a long
please,
time.
Let me repeat
Where
the question.
would they go? How could they
Let
fight
me repeat
with
my
Israeli
question.
airstrikes that
Mr.
are
Barghouti,
killing them around the...
Yeah, it's the Hassan defense. It's like, no, they don't use human shields. Well, why do they have all their tunnels underneath civilian infrastructure? Well, how else can they fight? Oh God, that's not a defense.
Out over me.
I mean,
They don't use human shields. Oh, why do they do this? Oh, let me defend the human shields now. Fuck me.
You're asking them. You're asking me a question. No,
I'm asking
let me
you
answer.
why.
If you don't,
If
ask
Hamas,
the question, and I
please
will
let
wait
me
for
ask
you
the
to
question
finish
again.
your question.
If Hamas,
I actually wonder why. I wonder why Mustafa doesn't. I can see why. As a politician, he can't really disown Hamas fully because of how popular Hamas are. But he opposes violent action against Israel. He's a non-violent activist. Like, yeah, his whole thing is he's like the non-violence dude. But yeah,
does not want to use civilians as human shields.
Please.
Why do they build tunnels around schools and hospitals?
First of all, you are again, Mr. Morgan, you are again repeating Israeli propaganda.
It's not propaganda.
They
We've seen the
claim
footage.
that hospitals were built, that tunnels were under hospitals. Wait, let me finish. You asked the question, let me answer. It's not true what they say. And yes, they built tunnels to hide from Israeli airstrikes, of course, like Vietnamese built tunnels to hide from American bombardment in Vietnam. It's the same. But to say that
are the civilians are they the ones using the tunnels like bomb shelters? Oh God. Eek.
Taking people, civilians, as hostage, as shields is not true. Wait a minute. I see Hamas fighters on Al Jazeera network attacking Israeli tanks without with very little weapons. I don't see them hiding behind the people.
I have proof that I'd like you to listen to. I have
this is one way. It's one way of Israel
let
to
Alan
justify,
Dershowitz speak, please, Mr. Barghouti.
The killing of
Mr.
civilians.
Barghouti, let Alan Dershowitz respond. Let Alan Dershowitz respond.
Okay. Here is in my book, the War Against the Jews. In it,
they're both shit. Look at
directly. I quote directly from a leader of Hamas praising the use of human shields. He says, "We regard our women and our children as
cite your own book. Let's go.
Martyrs. We use them as human shields." This is Hamas bragging about the use of human shields.
Who said
bragging
that?
why
Can
they
you tell
will
me his
not
name?
allow civilians. It's in the book.
Can you tell me the
get
name
the name
of this person?
I will send it to you. I can't find it this second.
Tell me
but
the
it's
name.
there. And not only that, I will send it
because
to
it's
you.
not
And I
true.
will give you a copy
You can't
of the
find
book.
the name because
But
it
wait a
doesn't
minute.
exist.
And that's why Hamas.
The fax machine has been turned around. Oh God, the 180 on the fax machine. It's spinning all over the place. Don't bring your fucking book if you can't name the person you're quoting, motherfucker. Who the fuck are they? Why do they always bring these retards over to like? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh God. Uh-oh. He knows. Look at Pierce in the middle. Pierce sitting there. I have no idea what side to take in this debate. God, why don't any of them just be a bit more reasonable?
You're just repeating.
I thought this Mustafa guy was throwing, but he came back with a fucking. But now this other cunt, he can't even put a name with a guy with a human shield. Oh no!
Israeli bad propaganda.
Into the tunnels. If you want to wait a few minutes, go off the air. I will find out the name and I will give it
let me
to
ask
you.
Alan.
It
Let
will
me
be
ask
a familiar name.
Alan Dershowitz. Let me ask.
Here's in this book.
Alan Dershowitz. Let me ask Alan Dershowitz. Let me ask a question, Alan Dershowitz.
He called it as well. Like I don't think Hamas guy ever said we use them as human shields, and that's base. What they'll often say is they'll say something like we're very proud of like the martyrdom or the shaheed fucking instinct of our people. They'll say stuff like that. I don't think they'll actually ever, or they'll say something like, yes, we're proud that they don't want to move. They don't want a second Nakba. They're going to stay in their houses even if Israel tells them to leave. They'll say shit like that, but they're not going to say, yes, we use human shields. What the fuck are you? Oh God. And Mustafa knows. Mustafa knows. He's doing the Arab version of the Finkel smirk. Only it looks quite he's so happy.
This idea of a 6-week ceasefire, I think most of the world now wants Israel to stop bombing Gaza. Do you agree that it's time for a proper ceasefire, which allows proper humanitarian aid to get in? And do you think this has now gone on long enough?
I think, first of all, humanitarian aid should be allowed in under all circumstances. All the openings should be allowed. All humanitarian aid should come in. Second, I agree with the American and British plan for a 6-week ceasefire, coupled with the release of hostages, naming all the hostages, and perhaps moving toward a longer ceasefire. I'm not in favor of continuing the war unless it has to be done, but Hamas has to be disabled. It cannot be allowed to return. That's also part of American policy. That's also what Kamala Harris said. And I agree with what she said generally, but it has to be part of a return of hostages, and it has to be a mutual ceasefire. Yesterday, it was announced by Islamic Jihad that Ramadan will be the bloodiest month, that there will be more terrorist attacks during Ramadan. You can't have a ceasefire on one side, which happens.
This guy is so funny. Sorry, this is I think he's a Present Sunday fan who's debated me a few times. This serious person. Okay, I hate to be the guy who goes to bat for BE, but as presented here, it seems like his actions are completely consistent, no? He was previously anti-aid because Palestine needs weapons, but now that an aid group has been linked to Hamas, the money he donates might go to... Yes, that's the entire point! Yes, okay. Yes.
October 6th, there was a ceasefire on one side, and Hamas violated it.
Okay, let me
if
bring
there
in...
is a genuine peaceful ceasefire on both sides, then I could agree with
Mr.
that.
Barghouti, two questions for you to finish here. One is, do you agree that Hamas should hand over all the hostages first? And secondly, do you agree that there can be no future for Palestinians with Hamas in charge?
Lornabox, have you seen Bad and Panada donating 30k for people in Gaza? I've seen him donating other people's money, yeah. And I've also seen him surprisingly changing his tune from someone who used to say that donating doesn't make you pro-Palestine, that actually what they need is weapons, not aid. Interesting. I guess he believes Israel when they say that UNRWA are connected to Hamas. That would make this consistent. I guess he believes Israel's allegations. Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
Well, first of all, yes, I will answer your questions, but let me tell you something.
No, please answer my questions rather than do something else.
They keep repeating...
No, this is not Second Intifada Barghouti. This is his, I think he's a cousin of his. So you do believe Israel's allegations? I think it seems to be that some of them are reasonable and some of them are not. That's kind of what the United States said. Yeah.
No. Let me finish, Mr.
Just answer my questions, please.
They keep repeating
Is Dershowitz still looking for his quote?
A Palestinian
No
said
way.
that. But the reality is that it is the Israelis who are doing the crimes. Who are killing
Well, actually,
the
Hamas committed...
Now,
hang on.
the response to your question.
Hamas committed...
Yes.
Hamas
all
committed...
Israeli prisoners...
Hang on. Let me respond. Hamas committed...
Let me answer the question.
committed... Let me just respond to that. Hamas
let
committed...
me answer first
Let
your
me
question,
just finish.
sir.
You wanted to make a point. I'm making a point.
Let me answer first your
Hamas
question,
committed
and then
one of
you
the
can
worst
respond.
terror attacks in history.
So is not funding UNRWA a just response? I said for the millionth time, you fucking brain-dead sack of cum. I said that if they're going to take money away from UNRWA, it can only be if they divert it to another group that doesn't have the same issues, like PCRF. That's what I said. Clear? Okay, good, nice.
And when they did it, they brazenly boasted about it on their phones and videos and put them out to the world. They were so happy and proud of what they've done. So let's not be under any illusion about what Hamas are about. But those two questions to end, please. Should the hostages all be released? Should the hostages all be released immediately?
Because,
and secondly, should
I
Hamas
don't
stay
agree.
in power?
Oh, he's got a
First
book.
of all,
okay.
You keep repeating Israeli propaganda. It's
Just
your business.
answer my questions,
But
Mr. Barghouti, please.
You accuse Palestinians of being terrorists. Let me answer.
Yeah, Hamas are
George
terrorists.
They could also assume some of UNRWA's responsibilities. What, like Biden building his fucking mega bridge into into Gaza to get aid through? They have been doing that.
Washington was accused of being a terrorist because he fought for the independence of the United States. Nelson Mandela was put on American terrorist list for a very long time. Martin Luther King...
Did Israel do that? Or of course they didn't. Why? I never said they did. Why are you asking me that like it's a reasonable question? What? That was my opinion, not Israel's opinion. What's this? Oh no, I can't because I'm blocked. Oh no. Hang on. What's this? Oh, I'm on to raise fund. Okay, nice one. Good. Don't care.
was accused by racists of being a terrorist. Sinn Féin party, which struggled for the liberation
Can you
of
answer my
Ireland,
questions?
were also accused of being terrorists. But nevertheless, I'll answer your questions. Yes, all Israeli prisoners...
Does Israel want to starve? Okay, no, I don't think that's part of their plan. No, I don't think they have a hunger plan for Gaza. Sorry. think they're being negligent in some places. They're definitely not taking on the responsibilities they should be taking, but, you know. That would be if the world was actually like just a little bit less fucking comical and simple than you want it to be, but bye-bye, okay. The all caps thing was setting me the fuck off, all right.
Must be released in exchange of all Palestinian prisoners who should be released, including a relative of mine that I told you about before, who has been in Israeli jail for 42 years. Including hundreds of Palestinians today.
But the Israeli, with respect, Mr. Barghouti, the Israeli hostages,
all of them have to be released.
The Israeli,
other question,
the Israeli hostages, just to be clear, the Israeli hostages are hostages, not prisoners. Just to be clear, but go on.
Ooh.
No, they are prisoners of war because they are
hostages.
fighting in.
What? No, if you kidnap a civilian, they're a hostage, bro. What the fuck? Oh no. Oh god, what's he? Bro.
In Gaza,
they
and
kidnapped
they were caught while I agree with you that civilians are not prisoners, that's for sure.
Right.
But Israel.
Is Gaza itself an open air prison? Yeah. No, I would actually say it's more of an Auschwitz-Birkenau 2.0, you downplaying libcuck. Second thought is on stream. I don't care. Why? Like, I'm sorry. It's not my fault that I fucking watch his propaganda videos and find like 8 million holes in every fucking sentence he says. Trying to act as if MLK and Malcolm X had the same fucking positions on liberalism. Like, come on. Anyway. Please, stop giving me fucking bad empanada updates. I don't care. You can give me updates if there is an obituary or a mugshot. Okay, thank you.
Israeli soldiers are prisoners.
All those civilians were innocent civilians.
Equally. Now,
and
the second question about Hamas.
Yes.
The second question about Hamas.
Yes.
You keep answering me. I don't know who's answering.
I want you to answer that question.
You should ask
questions
Hamas
and not give
answers, Mr. Morgan.
Should Hamas stay in power?
No, give me the right to answer your question.
If you answer my questions,
does not want to
I would be
in
really
power.
happy.
They declared that. Hamas does not want to stay in power, but you have to understand, we the Palestinians will struggle in every possible means to be free from occupation, from apartheid, from oppression. It's the right of the people who are oppressed to struggle for their freedom. It was an American right for those who struggled against British colonialism. It was the right of Martin Luther King to free African Americans.
Is Alan? There's no way Alan is still reading his book. Where did I go with the split screen? He's still It's your own book, Alan. I'm just saying, Mustafa said a lot of dumb shit in this debate, but he's absolutely like he's mogging this guy though, right? Like I'm not, because all we're gonna think about is Dershowitz trying to read through his own book because he said he had a quote from a Hamas person saying we use human shields, which they never would have said. They might have said something that implies that, but they would never have said in an honest translation, yes, we use human shields. Fuck me.
Want to stay in power, but you have to understand, we the Palestinians will struggle in every possible means to be free from occupation, from apartheid, from oppression. It's the right of the people who are oppressed to struggle.
Have you ever actually talked to Second Thought? No, Second Thought will never talk to anyone who challenges his opinions because he's a soft little fucking wet blanket. Like, no, of course not. He can't make money off of it. He's not going to do it, okay? It might make him look bad. He might actually get challenged on his like surface level post-it note bullshit politics videos. Yeah, there's no way.
For their freedom. It was an American right for those who struggled against British colonialism. It was the right of Martin Luther King to free African Americans. It was the right of Nelson Mandela, who struggled to end apartheid in South Africa.
Okay.
We need to be free from
Let Hamas follow Martin Luther King.
And ethnic
Let Hamas follow Martin Luther King's path, and there will be peace. If Hamas follows Martin Luther King's path,
I am following him, and you know I am following him like I do.
Stops using terrorism.
I am following Martin Luther King's best strategy.
He couldn't find it in his book.
Be peace. As a leader
when
of Israel
stops
said,
being a terrorist country.
If Hamas were to lay down its arms, there would be peace. If Israel were to lay down its arms, there would be the kind of genocide that we saw begun on October 7th. Israel wants peace.
So
They've
you
always
say that
wanted
Israel
it since
has the right to keep
1948.
killing us.
I don't think that's a fair characterization. I don't think Israel has wanted peace with Palestine since 1948. What the fuck are you talking? What? Oh God, why is it? Why can neither side just advocate for themselves in a way that is like honest and factual and even understanding of the grievances of the other? I don't know, why is that so difficult? Ben-Gurion literally admitted that peace was not a high priority for him after the 48 War. They were more concerned with holding on to all their territory. And then in the 6-Day War, they were absolutely not thinking about what they thought about peace in terms of giving the Sinai back to Egypt. They weren't thinking about it in terms of the West Bank and Gaza. Nor were they thinking about it in the late 70s. They weren't even thinking about it really in the very beginning of the 90s. Like fucking Yitzhak Shamir was even said himself in an interview that when they were negotiating with the delegates in Washington, Yitzhak Shamir really didn't want the negotiations to go anywhere. He just wanted to negotiate for 10 years whilst they kept on building settlements and putting the population of the West Bank up to 500,000. He said that. Rabin wanted peace for a time. Likud never wanted peace. Okay, yeah, fuck. It's just...
No, Israel.
Like, I don't know why you would say it that way. It's so dumb.
Right of self-defense.
No, I want to
American
correct you on
government said.
1948.
Okay, I can't go back to 48
just
again.
This thing.
We've run out of time. I'm sorry.
1948.
Mr. Barghouti.
No. 1 minute.
No, we've run out of time.
Allow me to respond to what he said.
I will get you the name.
Just one
I will
sentence.
get you both back on again.
Hamas leader.
I will get you both back on to debate the history of this conflict.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong about 67. There was debate over returning at least part. No, there was debate over returning part of the West Bank leading to Jordan. But no, when it came to the peace offers that they made, the government agreed upon handing back Sinai, but not the West Bank, not the full West Bank. No, that's why Dayan was running through there. That's why they were fucking evicting people and blowing up houses and getting settlers in there. Yeah, like why they deliberately ran up right to the end of the West Bank to cut off and blew up the bridges to cut off the connection from West Bank to Jordan. And Golan, yeah, but they had the border strip plan was not like them wanting peace, like not with the Palestinians anyway. They didn't have a plan for them, apart from settlers, I guess.
Never accepted the partition plan.
Okay.
You should go and read history properly.
Mr. Barghouti,
Israel never accepted
we
the
will
partition
debate the
plan.
history.
These are not my words.
We will debate the
This is what
history.
Avi Schleim, the Israeli historian, reported.
We will debate the history
Avi
another
Schleim
time.
said he digged very deep and couldn't find a single
We've run out of
document
time.
that
I have to
shows
leave
that
it there. I'm
Israel
sorry.
I
accepted
have the
partition
name.
plan.
I will give it to you. I don't have an index in this book.
Okay.
I will give you the name.
He said Avi Schleim couldn't find a single document of Israel accepting the partition plan. Would they have pulled it past the entire UN then? Fucking Dershowitz. I will find this quote. My God. I thought it was accepted by the Jewish Agency. Wasn't it them who accepted it? Avi Schleim. A decade later, in 1947, the United States General Assembly passed Resolution 181, which called for replacing the British mandate for Palestine with 2 states, one Arab and one Jewish, with a special international regime for the city of Jerusalem. The logic of partition was now endorsed by the international community. Once again, however, the partition plan was accepted by the Jewish Agency and rejected by the Arabs. Avi Schleim is very pro-Palestine as well, but no, he No, that's where's that claim come from? Is he talking about the state of Israel after they're formed, accepting the partition plan? What, after the war? Obviously, with the war, they weren't going to go back to the partition plan. That's not really how that works, but... That was actually quite easy to find as well. Yeah, oh well. I'm still giving the W to Barghouti because of the... Oh, God. Not the biggest W, but it's a W. Obituary just dropped. Localo retardo muerto. Local retard dead. Okay, thanks. Nice one. Good one. Good one. Good memes.
I will give you the exact quote, and you will then have to apologize. Is that okay?
You have to check whether he is really Hamas or not.
I have to apologize because...
Probably he was an Israeli. Based. What a... That's what my dad says. If anyone says something that like that he doesn't want to believe, it has to come from someone else, like a Syrian or an Israeli.
Studio is about to be taken.
Hamas doesn't ever use human shields.
The
Hamas
studio
doesn't use human shields. You're willing to rest your credibility on the claim that Hamas never uses human shields and that everybody in the world is wrong, including the United Nations.
I have to do a timeout there. I'm sorry.
Uses human shields.
The
Fine.
studio.
I'm happy to end this debate on your credibility that Hamas doesn't use human shields.
Then we will end it on that debate.
He's trying.
Mustafa Barghouti, thank you very much. And Dershowitz, thank you very much. I appreciate you both very much for coming on Uncensored, as always.
Fuck, man.
That's it for us. Thank you.
Fucking state of that. Nice one. Nice one. Okay. That was a good debate. I enjoyed it. I had fun. Who is this George Not Found person? Apparently that's where all the content is at right now. Oh. We have a friend of the show who is actually streaming. Why do they never tell me? Right, let's see. Look, Smugbug's streaming. Look at them. Look at them go.
Okay, are you happy? Do you like how
these guys? What did they do? This is even too edgy for me. They gathered. I'm guessing they gathered Aaron Bushnell's, the guy who set himself on fire. For anyone who forgot, they gathered his internet history and made a fucking AI bot to ask him questions.
Aaron Bushnell.
Friend of the stream, Aaron Bushnell.
An Air Force pilot who set himself on fire, yelling "Free Palestine" to make the loudest tweet possible.
I never met the guy, you know? Like, what am I supposed to think if I've never had a chance, you know?
And we can't really ask him why he did what he did. But he was an Elden Ring fan, right?
I'm a big fan of Elden Ring, actually. I'm such a big fan that I got this.
Is that a Steak of America I spy? Should we try it? There it is. Okay, something circles up. All right, and then I think if we just give the bell a little ring, do you want to give it a little flick?
Yeah, let's give it a little ring. Let's see if it's ringing. Is it ringing?
Oh, it's ringing. It's ringing. He's coming. I think. Whoa! There it is. Behold, Aaron Bushnell. Aaron, how do you feel about drawn depictions of children in lewd acts? Friend of the stream, Aaron Bushnell.
Friend of the stream, Aaron Bushnell.
An Air Force pilot who set himself on fire.
Yeah, Jesse, you want to talk about 67? Okay. Maybe I got something wrong. Who knows? But yeah, we'll fucking fire into it one day. Not today, but today.
Yelling "Free Palestine."
Okay, yeah, they. So I'm guessing they're gonna do a video where they just ask questions to Aaron Bushnell's fucking. That's rough. That is rough. That's very insensitive. Fuck. Couldn't stop. Stop. When you die, will there be an... I'm pretty sure there are AIs made of me now. People have put my fucking voice over... I've made songs out of my voice with AI. I just never share it because fuck those guys. Intellectual property. Or whatever. Okay, hang on. Does your dad know you're bi? I'm not actually bi. Someone just called me bi. That's why it's in quotation marks. I'm not bi. And if I am, my dad would be fine with it. He's very much a pluralist. Okay, hang on. Fuck! Bug smug. Okay, I can't add... I can't raid Smugbug now because I'm not on his fucking list. I'm not on his... He hasn't opened himself up to raids. Oh god, hang on. Hang on. I'll add him to mine. Wonderbox is a lesbian. True. Alright, fuck. Edit. Raid Aaron Bushnell. No. Man in the wall. Okay, yes, you said it twice. Look at me caring. This is actual footage of me giving a fuck. Okay, bye-bye. Hang on. I want to... Where's the list? I can never find this. The community list where you have to add people onto your acceptable raiders. Is it on customize or is it on community? Or is it in settings? Community. Okay. Yeah, it's here. Okay, got it. Got it. Approved users for redirect. Smugbug HD. Save. We need to pressure them though, okay? We need to brigade them. Literally.
Fucking dumpstered on this one. Dune is sick. You haven't even watched it. Oh, also,
Someone needs to tell them.
I have a public service announcement to all of the female, feminine presenting chatters. Okay?
Get in there.
Really
I'm not joking. Get in there and tell them to add me to their fucking list, okay? I'll tell you what the list is called because they won't know. I guarantee they won't know. It's to go into their community tab and to put me here in their people who can redirect list, okay? They need to put me there. Specific channels you can redirect to my content, okay?
It's an announcement for I don't care. Me like 5 questions about Dune and it was better than sex. I think I probably might.
It's under settings. Settings, community.
That actually feels better than anything.
Settings, community, specific channels you can redirect to my content.
I got to explain to her. She was like, how do they steer the worms? That
yes, look at them go.
Bitch. Nostrils. The worms have nostrils. They pull up the flap, and the sand gets in the nostril, and the worms get irritated, and so the worms rise up out of the sand to avoid getting sand in the nostrils, and that's how they steer them.
Why can't they? Can they not see the chat?
And it was great.
Man's
it was amazing.
a genius.
He is
Man's
a genius.
a genius.
Put Lonerbox in the redirect. Add Lonerbox to be raided. I don't know how that works. How do you add people to be raided? Fuck!
Community settings, specific channel settings who can redirect to my content.
Community settings. All right, got it. Community. I'm rushing this. I'm speed running.
Thank you, Lonerbox Live.
Thank you.
Oh, they're so
people
sweet.
Don't know this, but Lonerbox Live is a completely different person to the YouTube.
Actually, his brother. Yeah, true. Hold on. I don't know how to set up raids. I'm actually brain damaged. New channel.
Settings, community tab, put Loner on the people who can redirect list.
Yeah, the problem is that the settings... Hold on, I'm working on it.
Oh, dude, this is the worst person for this job.
I know. Yep. I don't know why you left me in charge of
why
the stream.
Didn't I? Why did I know?
Hold on, I'm watching. The sheer fucking panic, like, holy shit. I don't... Listen, no good stream... Oh, here we go. Community. I'm figuring it out. I'm so close.
Does you know to scroll down?
Wait, okay. Murty, you think June is objectively awful and you haven't even... seen it?
I can't even find.
Explain that.
I can't even find settings, dude. Can you imagine?
Bro, you can't even find settings.
I'll just send him some screenshots. Hang
on. Hold on. Is it advanced settings? Well, because if I click settings, I just get my personal settings. I'm so stupid.
He has to go into his
You should be
YouTube
laughing.
studio.
Listen, I don't know how to fucking stream. Who do you think I am? Hold on one second.
Poor Loner Bugs. He's just watching you flail about.
He's trying
with
so
those
hard.
tiny little arms.
Okay, hold on. So, like, so go to... Oh, thank you. Oh, God.
got
Cheeto
it.
literally has never once missed. I actually love Cheeto so much. Cheeto knows exactly how dumb I am and exactly how to frame information.
What did Cheeto say?
From the left, click settings. Oh my god, I truly am.
He didn't know it was on the left.
Look left
Cheeto-
is the advice.
Yeah, Cheeto actually is fully solving this problem for me. Okay,
They should just give me their Gmail,
approved
right?
users, no, live, all channels can redirect. Okay, cool. All right, let's try it. I think we did it.
Let's go.
All right, cool. Now we're gonna get Nazi raids as well.
Okay.
Oh my god, Cheeto literally is. How did Cheeto already win Best Chatter 2024?
They're in Twitch chat. Okay.
In like March. What a hero.
Cheeto won. They used to be in my.
Cheeto literally has saved us every single fucking.
Okay, I'm not gonna raid them. Imagine if I just didn't raid them now. Brigade time, boys. Yep. I need to go gym. Okay, this was a short stream. Fuck. I hope a lot of you guys join in there, though. These guys are... They only got 300 subs, okay? The loner bump has to be real.
Will you play Halo?
And there are 900 wankers here, so that's more than enough people to get them to their first 1K. And that means they can... I don't know, monetize. Who fucking... Alright. He just figured it out. Yeah, he's on my list now. Wait, is he? Did I put him on the list? Yeah, he is. Yeah, okay. All right. Take care, guys. Love you. Get fucked. All right, bye-bye.